on ABC7, former Santa Clara coach. He does the Warriors postgame on ABC, so we're going to have him on to talk about the trade today, and then Carlos Ramirez coming up. So we have time for calls, 808 KNBR, and we got to get right into the trade. Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, your thoughts, 808 KNBR, let's go. Are you happy about this? Are you pissed about it? The Warriors traded Jordan Poole for the State Farm guy. And I don't know if we got Jake in the deal. Did we get Cliff Paul in the deal? Did we get Flo in the deal from Progressive? I don't know what's going on right now, but we traded Jordan Poole for the State Farm guy. And when you talk about this, there's a lot of things. We're going to dig deep into this all night. They keep Draymond. They trade Jordan Poole. His rookie contract was up, and the 4-year, $125 million extension kicks in July. They save a lot of money. Now they can sign Clay. Now they can sign Draymond. I don't hate this trade. Everybody's crushing this trade. I think now you have a point guard that comes in when Steph goes to the bench, and he actually knows what he's doing. He's not going to dribble the ball off his leg and fall down. He's not going to drive to the basket and fall down and just throw up a prayer. Now, I was hard on Jordan Poole all year, but I thought that the championship season Jordan Poole and this year Jordan Poole, I don't know what changed, but he regressed. And I've never been more frustrated as a fan on what I saw from him this year. Ask anybody that we're watching the Warriors games around here during commercial breaks. I'm going nuts. Ask my son. He's like, Dad, I've never heard you like this about a player. You're usually super positive. I'm like, I don't know what's happened to this guy. I don't know there's a story here that we don't know about. There's a mystery here behind the scenes that you kept the guy that punched him and you traded the guy that got punched. I don't know if the money changed him. I don't know if the 4 years, 125 changed him. I don't know if he just got overexposed and all of a sudden maybe you're a bench guy, you're playing a lot, or you just didn't like the fact that you had to come off the bench, you want to start. I do know that he's going to be happy to be jacking up 30 shots a night in Washington. And who knows how this whole thing plays out. But I want to hear your thoughts at 808 KNBR. What do you think about the trade? I think it's a good trade. I was kind of over Jordan Poole. He seemed like he did not fit. Now, I've been on Twitter all day, and there's guys that forgot more basketball than I'll ever know. There's guys around here that watch the Warriors and have watched them all the years while I was back east that know these things. And they're all thinking this isn't a good trade. I'm firm on my stance here. I think this is a great trade. Now, the protected first-round pick in 2030 and the second-round pick in 2027, I don't know how that whole thing goes. And by the way, we'll update you on the NBA draft when the Warriors pick 19th. I don't think they're close yet. Last I saw, they were at number 10. By the way, we got to get the draft on in here, you guys. However we do this, I got to get the draft on TV in the studio. So if anybody knows how to work these remotes, it would be great, because I don't, to get the draft on here. I'm watching Wake Forest and LSU. I don't know who they're going to draft, but I need to know who the Warriors draft while on the air. So before we take a break, 808 KNBR, I see the phones lighting up right now. I want to hear your take on this. Are you happy with this trade? Are you pissed about this trade? Your thoughts on the trade? When I clicked on all the national sites, not our sites around here, not the Chronicle, not NBC Sports Bay Area, but the national sites, all the headlines nationally say Chris Paul traded to the Warriors. It didn't really mention Jordan Poole got traded. It was Chris Paul got traded to the Warriors. And I think in that regard, you're getting a 38-year-old veteran that actually knows what he's doing, that can fit into any system, that knows basketball, that maybe trained his whole life to beat the Warriors, and if you can't beat them, join them. And now he's a part of the Golden State Warriors. And this is kind of a win-now mentality, right? It's not about the future anymore, and they didn't see Jordan Poole as part of the future. And now Mike Dunleavy Jr. said a couple of days ago, we're not trading Jordan Poole for the length of his contract or whatever. Well, he didn't lie. I mean, his rookie contract was up, and he got traded. So going to take a quick break, set the show real quick, take care of some business. If you're on hold, stay right there. I'll get to you guys in a second. We got Blake Sable coming up at 6:45. Giants catcher, left fielder. You guys know who he is. He's doing a great job. And he's doing a way better job at catching. He's turned into a really good offensive player. He got some big hits in the series against San Diego and some big hits in Los Angeles. Russ Stanley, Senior Vice President for the Giants. Ticket Sales and Services, going to join us around 7 o'clock. Kerry Keating around 7:30. Carlos Ramirez around 7:55. So we got plenty of time for your calls. 808 KNBR, going to take a quick break. This is FP Santangelo on KNBR tonight on The Sports Leader.
Oakland, shout out to you for supporting KNBR, Oakland's sports leader.
KNBR.com.
Former Met and current Met broadcaster Keith Hernandez, the guy from Seinfeld, he tells Murph and Mac why this 2023 Giant squad has surprised him. You know that Keith has a Just for Men contract? He does. And he gets it for free. I pay for it when I dye my beard every once in a while and once a month dye my hair. Just for Broadcasters, I think is what his is called. That podcast and so much more trending now on the all-new KNBR app.
Just what is your reaction to being traded to Golden State today?
I'm excited. I got that question I don't know how many times already, so I'm really excited.
You spoke with Steph, it sounds like, already. And how did that go?
It was good. Yeah.
What do you think your role will be on that team?
To help us win games.
What do you think your role will be on that team?
To help us win games.
Enjoy KNBR in FM at 104.5 FM. Now back to KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo on the Sports Leader.
Help us win games and sell insurance. And khaki pants. That was a State Farm guy who was traded for Jordan Poole earlier today. That wasn't Cliff Paul. And that wasn't Flo.
What?
Dude, whatever's going on with the text line tonight, it's serial killer night. Like, these text messages are weirding me out. And you guys know who you are, and I feel like reading your numbers. You're not saying anything bad. It's just weird. I feel like it's just like you have 17 cats, and you're waiting for cat day at the ballpark, and you're going to bring all 17 cats to Oracle and say, look, I want to bring all my cats to the ballpark, and even though I smell like a dead body, don't even think about that for a minute, that I'm a serial killer. It's at 808 KNBR is a serial killer night on the text line. Seriously, I feel like Dahmer's texting in right now. All right, let's go to the phones. This little dude, Raph, look at the text line. Good Lord. I don't know what's going on. All right, tell me where the bodies are buried. Let's go to the phones right now. Andy in Santa Rosa. Andy, you're on KNBR. What's up?
Hi there. I'm not a big fan of this trade simply because, Jordan Poole played, 82 games last year. Chris Paul, I think, played 60. Chris Paul, phenomenal player, don't get me wrong, but I think he's 39 or approaching 39.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to call Bob Myers and say, is this okay? Is this okay that we did this? So I'm not a big fan of it, but, Jordan Poole, he had a rough season. I wouldn't say rough season, but rough playoffs for sure. And his defense was definitely lacking, but I don't know if we'd still be talking about this if Draymond and him didn't get in that scuffle. I was kind of hoping for a big season for Poole and the Warriors combined, to go back to back. But we'll see what happens. But not a big fan just because Chris Paul seems to, knock on wood, get injured at the worst moments. And I love the guy. I love him as a player, but it's sometimes the worst moments that he gets injured.
when you get to a certain age, Andy, everything starts to break down. In sports, it's way sooner, right? But I would say this. I would temper your doubt with the fact that Steve Kerr probably used this guy in a way that keeps him healthier. He's not going to be all the minutes he was in Phoenix. He's going to be used differently here, I would imagine, in the sense that they'll keep him healthy and they'll use him in a way that spells Steph Curry, I'm imagining. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating on the air right now. But when you get to a certain age and a guy has a certain history, then what can we do to keep him healthy? And I think the reason they got him is so when Steph goes to the bench, there's not that big drop-off there was with Jordan Poole last year, just dribbling the ball all over the place like a crazy person.
Definitely, and there was a lot of turnovers with Poole, and he was kind of a liability sometimes as well. I would have liked to give him one more year, but I do like that reasoning too. I think Steve Kerr and I think the whole organization knows how to keep players healthy, and that's what I'm hoping.
You remember that one kid in your class when you played at recess and he was hyperactive? That was the word for it back in the day. It wasn't like ADD or whatever. We didn't have medication for it when we were younger. The guy at the playground that when you were playing 3-on-3 that was just a spaz. He was all hyperactive. That's what I felt like Jordan Poole was most of the year. The kid that had the glasses, that he had the headband around his head and the big thick glasses. And then when the bell rang, he just sprinted out of the classroom to the basketball court. And then he had the ball the whole time. And he would dribble it off his foot and roll down the street and a car would run over your basketball. I think that's what Jordan Poole reminded me of this year.
No, 100%. And the fact that they gave him that big contract, I wonder if they would have waited a year if things would have been different. Now, I don't know. But Poole, sometimes he was just going 130 miles per hour, and it looked like he was going nowhere at times.
Yeah, I don't want to turn this into a bashing Jordan Poole show, but I like this trade. I'm sticking to this. I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm sure there's a lot. And if you don't, let's go, man. Bring it. If you think this is stupid, let's go. Andy, thanks for the call. Let's go to Mike in Oregon. Mike, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FP, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing well, Mike. How are you?
I'm actually doing good, man. Getting upgraded technology and test driving new technology, so I'm excited.
Before you get to your point, I got you tickets for Saturday's game on me. So I'm not sure what section it's in, but it's in the lower bowl. All right. And I don't know what you have to do in order to get to your seats based on you don't have your site, but
no, just tell me how to get the tickets. That's all I need to know.
Well, they're electronic tickets, so I'll send them to you, and then you forward them to somebody, and then you just scan them at the gate. But I got your game Saturday, so I'm excited to come say hi to you. All right.
I am too. So on the trade, this is like Deadpool 3 as far as I'm concerned. Poole, it's funny you said the spaz kid. That was me, bouncing the ball all over the place. And I thought he was erratic. I actually didn't think he fit in with the team. And even though he had flashes of brilliance when we won last year, I thought he was grading on the team. And although the punch and all that, I just think that he didn't fit. Now, what I'm worried about with Chris Paul is although I didn't see him in the playoffs, I kept on hearing that he looked flabby. He looked out of shape. And I know he's a great player, but as long as he comes in shape and ready to play for the Warriors, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see him flabby and out of shape like they were saying during the playoffs. And because I think he can add that continuity and that leadership as well, along with Seth. And hopefully Draymond will stay because of it. I think that's a big plus right there that he may stay just because of that.
There's a lot of money freed up to sign Clay and Draymond and maybe get somebody else too. So if you missed it, his 4-year, $125 million extension kicks in July. So the Warriors are saving a lot of money here. He's currently on the last year of his rookie contract. So I don't know if this was a salary dump based on personality, based on performance, based on fitting in your system. I don't know what it was, but I'm okay with it, and I'm probably in the minority on this take.
Well, no, I think you could check all the boxes on that. I kind of got tired of him this year, and I think a lot of fans did. He made a lot of bonehead turnovers, passes into the seats. I think it's like I said, Deadpool 3. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Mike. Well, I look forward to seeing you Saturday. I'll come visit you real quick at the ballpark. I got a busy day, but I want to come say hi to you.
All right, thanks, brother.
All right, that's Mike from Oregon. I don't know if you guys remember his story, maybe a little reset because we have a lot of new listeners to the show. He lost his sight a bunch of years ago. He's hit by a car, and he's a veteran. He served our country. He's now at the VA hospital in Palo Alto. He's from Oregon. I told him if he ever gets this way, I'm going to get him some Giants tickets. So he's going to the game on Saturday. I'm really excited to meet Mike. The 415 chiming in on the text line. Love you, FP, but Spaz is out of bounds. I replied, so was the ball when he dribbled. Let's go to Kevin in San Mateo. Kevin, you're on KNBR. I'm an idiot tonight. What's going on, Kevin? How are you?
FP, out of the last 7 games, the Giants were out hit 6 of them. They're overachieving. They probably should have lost half those games. They're getting a lot of breaks. Look, I'm a Reds fan, okay? They had no business sweeping Houston. They're not better in Houston, but that's baseball. I still say Giants 3rd or 4th place. Take care.
All right, Kevin. There's a weird smell coming from under your house. Did you leave your address with your phone number? Because we do have your phone number. And speaking of cats, I'm sure you have a few. Let's go to Bob in the Sunset. Bob, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP, I'm well. Been loving you on the radio for the games. Glad to have you back in the afternoon, evening slot.
Thanks, dude. What do you got tonight? You're calling from the Sunset area.
Yeah, I am. The Sunset is the Sunset. No area, bro. Just the Sunset.
It's just Sunset? Okay. And that's on the other side of town where it's foggy every day, right?
It's the whole west side, right on the water, brother.
I like it over there, by the way. I'd love to move over there, but it's a long poke to the ballpark from there and to our studios here.
N Judah, man. The N Judah runs straight to the ballpark. It's probably the only good thing the N Judah does. It runs right from my house to the ballpark. It's a beautiful thing.
All right. Before you get to your point, how long does it take you to get to the yard usually?
40 minutes.
See, that's way too long, dude. You might as well live in like Tiburon or something.
But when you're a city boy, not from the country like you, I know the Sacramento thing, you're used to driving 40 minutes to get anywhere.
Dude, I'm a city guy now, though. I love the city, man. Like, I'm all about living in the city. I absolutely love it. Everybody craps on San Francisco. I freaking love it, man. This is a great place to live, and I'll fight anybody that says it isn't.
Me too. I love being on the streetcar and listening to the people and watching the people and just living the life. Anyway, here's what I want to say. Mike Dunleavy, he was the guy who scouted Jordan Poole. That was a boss move for him to trade Jordan Poole. And you know what? That took a lot of cojones for him to do that. And you know what? I don't know if everybody realizes that, because everybody was talking on the radio about, I don't think he'll do it. I think he's too connected to him. And for him to move Jordan Poole was exactly what needed to happen. We needed some adult play, and Chris Paul brings that adult play. He adds another adult to that team. And now we're going to get to see what's going to happen. We can get those young players. Hopefully Kuminga can now act like an adult. Moody is an adult. He's way, way older than his years. And we're going to see some stuff happen. And hopefully somebody they draft, maybe some younger players they bring in, PBJ. This could be the thing that changes the whole dynamic to have that two-tiered thing they were trying to do actually work out well.
I couldn't agree with you more, Bob. I couldn't agree with you more. And it's just a matter of Paul staying healthy, I think, and I think they're going to do everything to keep him healthy. But I like this trade so far. I do. From an anxiety standpoint, my anxiety's already gone down of not having to think about like Jordan Poole trying too hard. And when I'm half tongue in cheek with Jordan Poole and all my takes tonight, but like in 2021, he's my favorite Warrior. And I said on the show when I first got back to California, like, I love this guy. He went to Michigan. My mom went to Michigan. I love the way he's playing. He's amazing. He's got so much confidence. He's 3 steps across half court. He's pulling up and draining 40-footers. He's driving. He's the fastest guy on the court. He's making great decisions. And then this year, it went the other way. And I don't know why it went the other way. And we can speculate all we want. And maybe the other side of this argument would be, like, don't give up on this guy. Maybe you'll get 2021 Jordan Poole. But there's things we don't know behind the scenes. It's not always X's and O's. It's not always what we see on TV. Being behind the scenes with players in clubhouses, I've seen guys that are performing really well get traded because they just didn't mesh with their teammates. They just didn't mess with their coaches or their manager. So you have to move in a different direction. I'm not saying this happened with Jordan Poole, but maybe there's something here we didn't know about or we haven't heard about.
Bingo. I think you're right on point right there. Something behind the scenes. If you look at that film, why didn't Clay and Steph react when somebody got popped? There's an old saying in the Sunset, and I can't say one of the words on the radio, but it's talk blap, get hit. I'm out.
And the other saying in Sunset is you live way too far from the ballpark. That's the other saying from the Sunset. All right, I see everybody on hold. Tons of texts rolling in, tons of calls rolling in. Stay right where you're at. 808 KNBR is the number. We're going to stick with the Warriors. We got... we'll shift gears around 6:45. So we have another open segment to take your calls. Blake Sable coming up at 6:45. You don't want to miss the Giants catcher / outfielder / rookie. Don't forget, Blake Sable's a rookie. Casey Schmidt, Luis Matos, Ryan Walker. A lot of guys getting the headlines right now, but Blake Sable's a rookie. He's played some damn good baseball. So he's coming up. But in the meantime, your calls, your text messages on the Sports Leader. We're here with our good friend Steve Moskowitz. He joins us tonight. We always love to chat with Steve. Tonight he wants to talk about the ERC And like Raph, how easy it is.
That's right. A lot of people are missing out because, a lot of people don't realize how much money is available. I realize people's facts, circumstance, and results can differ, but we've had individual clients that have gotten multi-millions, lots and lots of clients, hundreds of thousands, and lesser amounts too. But some people don't realize that, and some people think, it's going to be so much work. I have to dig through all kinds of records. I have to go through the lawyer's office. That's going to be so complicated, getting to work on my case. And none of that's true. It's so easy. In almost all cases, we can tell you in a few minutes over the phone if you qualify. And if you do, we need very little information from you, and it's readily available. You never have to come in our office. We do everything on the phone and email. And what if your CPA said you're not entitled to it because your gross revenue didn't go down enough? That's only one of two methods. The other method that a lot of them are not bothering with is the facts and circumstances. They don't want to do the analysis. Bottom line is, if you're entitled to it, let us do a second opinion for you. It's easy, and let's get every dollar to which you're legally entitled.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks, Steve. Call Steve Moskowitz at 1-888-TAX-DEAL or visit him at moskowitzllp.com.
Follow KNBR on Facebook. This is KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo on KNBR 104.5 and 680. The Sports Leader.
So the big news of the day is the Warriors made a trade. They traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. So Jordan Poole goes to the Washington Wizards, and the Warriors get the State Farm guy. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a good trade, and I'm sticking to that. 808 KNBR, if you disagree, I think it's a good trade. It frees up a lot of money for the Warriors. The Jordan Poole experiment, to me, had kind of run its course. He'll probably go to Washington and average 28 a game, 30 a game, because he's going to be able to shoot way more. He doesn't have Steph Curry. He's going to get more minutes. He's going to be jacking up threes all day. He gets to shoot 30 times a game now as a Wizard. But he goes from a chance to win another ring to a team that doesn't have any chance at all. And that's got to hurt in some ways. But was it the punch? Like, what happened behind the scenes? Like, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Ask my friends. Like, what I'm doing on the air is no shtick. Like, whenever something happens, and maybe this is because being exposed to the behind the scenes with being an athlete and what's reported, what really happens, it's never kind of, we as fans don't know the whole truth. There's always a true Hollywood story behind everything. And there's something going on here besides the obvious. And you could be like, what are you talking about, FP? The obvious is he got punched and he never got on track this year and that screwed him up and, blah, blah, blah. But why? Why did he get punched? Like, what kind of teammate he was? Was he always bitching and moaning about his minutes? Was he bitching and moaning about his role? Did he become a disruption to a team that's used to having a really synergistic approach and that we check our egos at the door and we do whatever it takes to win a ring? Was there something like that going on? Because you just don't give up on a guy that you just signed to a 4-year, $125 million deal. You're thinking this guy's our future. And it didn't happen this year. But to me, it's not just based on performance. There has to be something. There has to be layers to this whole deal. And I don't know what they are. But I think, the way I think, is there's something we don't know here. Or maybe something we do know. Maybe it's not as complicated as I'm making it. Trust me. If you guys listen to the show for over a year, I've been here over a year now. Anybody that knows me, my friends, FP, you overthink everything. I do. I used to overthink at bats. Like, oh, it's 1-2 count. This guy on deck is not hitting very well. I'm going to get a foul, da-da-da. And then it was not what I was thinking. So I have a tendency to overthink things. But I think I'm onto something here. Not that I need to be right in this, but when you trade for a 38-year-old and it's a 24-year-old with a high ceiling and it hasn't happened yet, there's something going on. Warriors saved a lot of money. Maybe they thought, ooh, we signed this deal. It doesn't kick in until July. We can get out of this. This is how we get out of it. We made a mistake. We made a mistake. He's not the player we thought. We're keeping Draymond, and we're getting rid of Poole. And I think last offseason was we're keeping Poole and getting rid of Draymond, and it just did a 180 flip-flop. But fun to talk about, right? Are you guys happy about this trade? I am. I'm really happy about it. I'm excited about it. The State Farm guy can play. Flo's pretty good, too. I don't know if Flo was thrown in the deal. Cliff Paul might be there. But now we have a guy that's an insurance policy for Steph Curry, literally and figuratively. He's an insurance policy, and he's going to wear khakis on the court. Who's been waiting the longest? Let's go to Betty in Benicia. Betty, how are you tonight? Thanks for waiting.
Good. I just want to first hit about the Giants. I'm so glad about the Giants. I mean, winning straight 10 games is wonderful. Today was just putting us in reality, but they'll get back where they are. And the other thing I want to talk about is the Warriors. As you know, I'm not happy about Poole, what took place here for him, but he's young and he has a lot to learn, and he will, because he's determined. And you remember him doing well last year. That's not going to go away. That got killed this year, and we all know why. And also, I just like to make a point that I honestly feel that keeping Draymond, they can't win without him. I don't believe that for a second.
I do. I agree with you 100% there, Betty. Yeah. That's a fantastic take. They need him to win, even though some of his stuff is eye roll at times. And I'm just like, come on, dude. Seriously, like, it's not about you. It's about the team, and you're making it about you. And it frustrates me at times. But, yeah, they need his spirit and his energy when it's focused in the right direction, for sure.
Anyway, that's all I have to say, and have a good evening.
Thanks, Betty from Benicia. I appreciate you calling the show. She's a sweetheart. Whatever her take is, she could say Martians have taken over Fairfield right now. I'm like, you're right, Betty. You're so nice. You're right. Whatever it is, she could be a serial killer. I'm like, Betty, you're the sweetest serial killer I've ever seen in my life. Let's go to Vinny in Fairfield. Vinny, you're on KNBR. What's up?
How we doing? Hey, I don't like the trade. Bad move.
Why, Vinny? Tell me why. We get our people on this.
All right, it's getting old man, senior citizen. He gets injured, bad hamstrings. He always gets injured at the wrong time.
Well, then, what if he's not used as much and not taxed as much this year, and they curtail his minutes to really important minutes when he's really needed?
No, that's the best they could do. Is Chris Paul for Jordan?
Load management. Load management.
Right. And I don't think that Warriors are going to get a ring anytime soon. So they gave up on Jordan Poole.
Wait, Vinny, you might be right. I like the trade, and I'm sticking to that, but you could be right. I guess time tells. Here's what I always say about trades, Vinny. We can have our knee-jerk reactions, but trades are good trades or bad trades way down the road. Like a year from now, we'll know if this is a good trade. Sometimes in baseball, when you trade for a minor leaguer, it's 2 years from now when it's a good trade or not. And everybody wants to have a reaction right away. Good trade, bad trade. How do you know? You really don't know. You can have a gut feeling. You can have an opinion. But whether the trade pans out or not is always something you have to be super patient with.
All right, but look, in 2 years, he'll be 40. Come on. You're talking baseball to basketball. Jordan Poole's going to be he's the next Steph Curry. You see how he can shoot and slash to the hoop.
Vinny, if this State Farm guy doesn't work out, he's sleeping with the fishes.
All right, that sounds good.
All right, thanks for the call, Vinny. I appreciate it. Yeah, he's on thin ice. He better get it done, or Vinny's going to take care of him. Let's go to Bill in Vacaville. Bill, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Not too much. How you doing this evening?
Wonderful.
Which do you want to talk about first, the Giant play at the plate last night or Chris Paul?
I would like to talk about Chris Paul since that's a subject right now. We could talk about the play at the plate, but I talked about it for an hour last night on the show. But if you want to talk about it, we could talk about it. Start with Chris Paul.
Okay. Well, first of all, here's a guy that's been on, 4 or 5 teams, never won a championship, injured, not a good teammate. Curry does not like the guy. And so this is basically a salary dump is what all this amounts to. So I don't see how that helps the Warriors. He plays no defense, basically, and I don't see how it helps the Warriors.
Hold on, I'm Googling Steph Curry doesn't like Chris Paul. I'm going to see what comes up.
Go back to 2014, 2016. They've had some instances.
Like during the heat of battle, though, right? Oh, all right. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of guys that I didn't like in the heat of battle. Then I became their teammates, and we became best friends. So that whole thing could change. But does Chris Paul like Steph Curry? Wait, this came up. Hold on. The camera captured you saying this ain't 2014 anymore. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, maybe they don't like each other. Well, that's good for us. It gives us something to talk about on the Sports Leader. All right, Raph is telling me I got to take a break. So coming up next, on the other side of the break, we're going to switch gears, talk a little Giants. Their 10-game winning streak came to an end today. Who cares? They're going to start a new one tomorrow against the Diamondbacks. It's a big series. It gets the first-place Arizona Diamondbacks. Somebody on the air right now with a microphone in his face picked the Diamondbacks to win the NL West in spring training. Sorry, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe the Giants can catch these guys, and it'll happen this weekend. That would be cool. On the other side of the break, Blake Sable coming up on the Sports Leader.
What's trending now?
Trending now.
On KNBR.com.
Yeah, Raph printed these out today. They're seriously, just sit back, recline in your car, and take a nice long break while I read this trending now. Former Major League ump Ed Montague joined Papa Lund today to break down the recent controversial plays at the plate due to the Buster Posey rule. That podcast and much more trending right now on the all-new KNBR app.
Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo continues live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
My first guest tonight joins us live from the Giants clubhouse. Nice enough to join us after the Giants game today. The winning streak ended, but it was the longest win streak since 2004, 10 in a row. So what? He's nice enough to join us right now. What's going on, Blake?
Nothing much. Just hanging out in the locker room right now.
Oh, I appreciate your time. Hey, before we get going, I mean, the last time you and I talked, it was in the bunker after your walk-off homer. I think it was in late April. And you were just kind of getting your feet wet in the major league level. A lot has changed since then. It seems like the game has slowed down for you on both sides of the baseball right now. Talk about how this season for you has kind of developed and everything's slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of firsts for me coming out of the gates, even all the way back to spring training, going to first big league camp and new organization and stuff. So, a lot of things are moving fast and heading into the beginning of the season and stuff, I didn't tear it up right off the rip. And, I felt like there was a little bit of pressure building on me. And, we have a great coaching staff here, and they kind of sat me aside, great veteran leadership and among the players. And they really helped calm me down. And, the last time I talked to you in the bunker when I had that walk-off home run, that was a big turning point in my season for me. And just the outpouring support I got from fans and from players and coaches around the league after that hit meant a lot to me. And then, as far as going about it and stuff, you kind of just see from everybody's experience. You look at, Craw, who's tearing it up right now and stuff. He started off a little slow, and you see, different guys go the other direction and stuff. And you just realize, it's just part of the game. It's part of baseball. And so I think that's just kind of what's been put into perspective for me. And, I'm really doing a better job of taking things more one pitch at a time, one game at a time. And I feel like it's helped me both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch you develop. You're getting big hits against A-listers. You got the walk-off home run, so all of a sudden you feel like you belong. You don't have to worry about any of the extenuating circumstances. You've been controlling what you can control. And lately, you've been controlling winning 10 games in a row. Let's talk about the streak for a little bit. It's hard to win one game at the highest level. It takes so much preparation, so much work to win one game. And you guys have strung together 10 in a row before today. And when you talk about that, it's a lot of mental energy. It's a lot of physical energy. But talk about the vibe in the clubhouse, the vibe in the dugout. What I'm feeling from afar up in the booth and being around you guys is you feel like you're in every game no matter what the score is.
Yeah, that's the feeling in the clubhouse and stuff is we're not really out of it. And, I think it's just keeping that mentality of, keeping it one pitch at a time and, one inning at a time, just trying to scrap away when we are down. We're trying to score runs every inning, so nothing changes. But I think things are starting to get put together. Early in the season when we started off a little slow, it just seemed like every time we scored a bunch of runs, we gave up more, and when we threw some pitching gems, we weren't putting up any runs. And the last probably the last month or so, we've started to put together where it's just good baseball all the way around. And sometimes there's been some things that have gone our way, but more so than not, it's just been different guys all the way up and down the lineup stepping up in big situations. Or the bullpen's been outstanding. We've been running out there. They've been picking up some guys that have been hurt, and so we're still able to compete for nine innings.
Talking to Blake Sable, nice enough to join us here on KNBR tonight. When you have those come from behind wins on the road, the clubhouse after must be so much fun. The party in the clubhouse must be so much fun. And I always thought, Blake, and I could be wrong here, that when we won on the road, it had more significance because I was together with my buddies a little bit longer versus at home when everybody kind of goes their own way after the game. Do those wins on the road bring you guys together a little bit more?
I think it's huge, especially the road trip we just had where we swept, both teams and ended up with the bang at Dodger Stadium. And, it's tough to win on the road. Usually most teams, it's like they're going to have a pretty good record at home, and on the road, you just hope to stay around 500 or so. So, I think it does mean a lot to us, and it gives us confidence coming back home to play in front of the home fans. And, we know the elements at Oracle Park play in our favor. And so I think it does make it a lot of fun when we get those road series wins.
You guys got a good team. You guys have to be feeling that vibe right now. I'm telling everybody with 2 ears, the Giants are a good baseball team.
100%. I think we're a really deep team. You're seeing guys come up from Sacramento and making an immediate impact. And, you're seeing the veteran guys, too, live up to why they've been playing for so long here, too. And so we got a good mix of both youth and veteran experience and leadership here. So I think we got a good thing going. I'm, really excited, and we got a big series coming up against Arizona. So hopefully take the series this weekend before we head out on the road.
So how has the clubhouse dynamic changed since opening day to right now as far as the infusion of the young guys? I think everybody overlooks you as the young guy. You were a Rule 5 guy. You made the team out of spring training. Everybody talks about Matos and Schmidt and Walker and Wynn and all the young guys that have done a really great job so far. But you've done a great job. And maybe talk about, and this is no slight to the veterans, how the dynamic in the clubhouse has changed with the infusion of the younger players.
Yeah, I would say, one of the immediate things, like you said, it's like I've just kind of been here since opening day. So like people have come up and told me that like I'm, like the rookie veteran or veteran rookie somewhat, in the clubhouse, because it seems like when all the new guys come in, they'll ask me questions and, before they want to go talk to the older guys and bother them. And I'm like, no, the older guys are cool. Like you can speak up whenever, like that's not how our clubhouse works and stuff. But yeah, it's funny. It's like not a forgotten rookie, but, just I've kind of found myself, like going into the shadows a little bit somewhat, but it's awesome. I think everyone's having a lot of fun. All the older guys, they kind of bring up how it's cool to experience first with everybody. And it's my first year still too, but when Matos gets his first hit, or when TV's out there and he gets his first win, it's awesome. It's fun to experience all those first. So the more young rookies we have up here, experiencing all those first is fun for the entire clubhouse.
Or when Casey Schmidt gets his first walk, you guys all go.
Casey's always turned into a walk machine. He's had 3 this past series or something like that. So it's pretty cool. It's gonna be dangerous when he starts getting on a roll again and taking walks with those hits.
He will. He'll lock in and get a game plan to stick to it. Talking to Blake Sable, nice enough to join us. So the catching thing, at first it looked like it might have been, at the highest level with the best stuff. And all of a sudden, you look great back there. How has that changed and developed through this? You obviously are getting more comfortable behind the plate.
Yeah, it's working with Albie, and he's just probably one of the best catching coaches I've ever had, and very hands-on, and during my work days, like I'm making sure that I'm in the pen with Albie, either catching some of the guys or just working off the machine, and then also working with Antoine in the outfield, making sure I'm ready to do that for whatever comes about. But I think, early on, like you said, it was just, there's a lot of things moving fast, and I mean, I remember, the catcher's interferences, for example, that was like something that was like, oh my God, like this has never happened before. Why is this happening right now? And which made the game speed up even more somewhat. Right. And, so, I think just working and, my teammates helping me instill confidence and stuff. And, it slowed the game down a lot. And, I haven't, knock on wood, but I haven't been even close to catching interference since, and been learning a lot. I love watching Patty, work back there. I mean, he's a great defensive catcher, obviously, Gold Glove caliber type of defense, and just learning from watching him and watching guys even on other teams where like, oh, that looks interesting. I'm going to try that tomorrow in the bullpen with Albie and see how it goes. And I think that's just kind of how I've been going about it.
Yeah, I used to do that with guys in their stances and try different stances. I'm like, oh, that looks good. I'm going to try that stance tomorrow. Next thing you know, I didn't know where my own stance was after a while. Talking to Blake Sable, nice enough to join us. So who's got the toughest, who's the toughest guy to catch? Who has the best stuff?
Well, I mean, our whole bullpen has a bunch of really good stuff, right? Obviously Camilo just throws so hard, and, sometimes his four seam, cuts a bunch. Sometimes, he'll throw a really nasty turbo sink with it. Scotty Alexander's kind of a dark horse with his lefty sinker. It's kind of an interesting shape that you don't really usually see. And then another one that both me and Patty we always talk about is Woody's slider. Because it's such a crazy pitch where it almost like enters the zone and exits the zone, but not like on the backside of the plate, more on the side of the plate. So you have to really make sure you get around it and catch it. So, we got a bunch of guys with nasty stuff, and it shows in the numbers, and I think that's what helps our offense too, is we know that the pitchers are going to keep us close, keep us in the game, and and so it makes it easy to think that we're always in every game.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you taking time out after a game today. Really good stuff. I know that one at-bat sucks. I could never wrap my head around one at-bat, so go have a beer, relax, and go get them tomorrow. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Blake Sable catching up with us on The Sports Leader. I'll tell you what, I've always loved the kid's spirit, but there was a time in spring training I'm like, ooh, this catching thing, and you're not really – sorry, I had to clear my throat. You're not really noticing him as much behind the plate, which is a good thing. He's turned into a good catcher, turned into a very valuable hitter in this lineup, and it looks like he's going to be a great major leaguer for a long time. He's getting some big hits off A-listers. Like he said, his confidence is up since he had that walk-off home run. We had him in the bunker that night, and he was just beaming, as you would imagine. Like, he just had a walk-off home run. He came and sat in the bunker, and we interviewed him. I'm a big fan of Blake Sable. And I love how he's progressing. I love how the game's slowing down for him. So good stuff, and thanks to the Giants and Matt Chisholm for getting him on for us. Really, really appreciate it. The Giants are awesome with getting us guests, the best in baseball. Speaking of the best in baseball, Russ Stanley, Senior Vice President, Ticket and Sales and Services. He's going to get us ready for what's going on this weekend at the ballpark. It's going to be a fun weekend. The weather looks nice. Can't wait to see the Diamondbacks come to town. It's a big weekend for the Giants. It's a big weekend for Giants fans. They've been coming out in droves. In case you missed it, there was 38,638 today for a weekday day game. The 4-game series was 139,406. So for a 4-game series, that's their best turnout for a 4-game series since June of 2018. So Giants fans are excited about baseball, and we're going to get you more excited about baseball on the other side of the break on The Sports Leader.
This is Giants baseball. Nothing like it.
High drive to left. Gone!
On KNBR and KNBR FM, San Francisco, a Cumulus media station. You're tuned into KNBR Tonight with former Giant FP Santangelo. Listen to us here and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We are KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, show's rolling along right now. We just had Blake Sable on. That was fantastic. The Warriors are on the clock right now with the 19th pick in the NBA draft. But in the meantime, we're going to get you all set for the Giants at the ballpark this weekend, let you know what's going on. And Russ Stanley, Senior Vice President, Ticket Sales and Services, joins us on KNBR tonight. What's going on, Russ? How you doing?
I'm doing great, FP. How are you?
Well, I mean, you have to be doing great. The Giants,
a busy show.
The Giants won 10 in a row. I mean,
how about that?
I mean, it's been fun. They're snatching victory from the jaws of defeat every single night, it seems like. The crowds at the ballpark, 139,406 for the 4-game series against the Padres. Giants fans are excited. 38,000 today on a day game. So Giants fans are fired up about this club, Russ.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like you said, I would round up that 139 to 140. But it was just an amazing crowd today. It was so many kids and sort of the summer camp groups started to come out. It was just a great day. And to be over 30, almost, I mean, again, I round up, so I'd call that almost 39. I heard Larry on earlier at almost 39. So, it's a great week, and I think it's just going to roll into the weekend. I mean, we've got a lot planned this weekend. Obviously, the Diamondbacks are coming in, so we're fighting to get back in to get to first place. A lot going on in the ballpark. Saturday is the foodie shirts, Aloha foodie shirt.
Oh, those are always, I think John wears them every day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he'll have a whole collection of these. And then probably the one I've been looking forward to the most is the Kruk and Kite tiki mugs that we're passing out on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to having those in my kitchen when I have my cup of coffee every morning.
Hey, I need one of those. We need to set a couple aside for me, and you get a choice of either one, right?
As you come in, I'm not sure you have a choice. I think they'll hand you one, and it'll be one or the other. It's not both. So everyone will have one. I'm not sure how to get the match set. I'll work on that one for you.
Russ, how awesome has it been for you to see the evolution of this season where, I mean, I was at some games, and I'm sure you were feeling the same thing. We're like, whoa. And I know school wasn't out yet, and there was some, some weather, and the team wasn't playing well, and you see it, it's like, oh, my gosh. And now all of a sudden, there's a tangible buzz in the crowd with the way Giants fans are into the game. And I was at all the games against the Padres, the night games, and we all can feel these kids and what's going on, and they're going to come back, and they're down 2-0, and you got them right where you want them. Just talk about how the crowds have been awesome lately.
No, the vibe at the ballpark has been it's really amazing, and I'm really looking forward to the weekend because it's going to have that playoff feel to it. But I think the difference is as fans are watching, these new players coming up, and there's just this. It's fun, and like you said, you're never out of any game. You're down by a couple runs. That's perfect. That's how we play it, and it's just been. We talked about being in the fun business, but I got to tell you, the last couple of nights have just been really fun.
We're definitely in the fun business, and it's cool to see people. I mean, even though it was crowded at the ballpark, I mean, I sat down in my seat, and I was sitting in the stands with friends last night. And I was trying to explain to them, they're Giants fans, but they don't watch every single game. I was trying to explain, this kid's young, he got called up, this guy's having a good season, and this is what's been going on lately. They're winning games that they're not supposed to win, and you can feel it. I mean, you can feel it's tangible in the stands right now. So we have Orange Friday tomorrow night. Saturday's the big promotion. Do we have anything going on Sunday at the ballpark besides, obviously, the first place team in town?
On the tiki mugs Sunday.
That's Sunday.
That's Sunday's giveaway. Yeah, and right. We're hopefully, I guess, by losing today, we can't get quite into first place, but we can get really close if we were to win these 3 games. And I'll tell you, it'll be a playoff feel for sure.
Awesome. Well, Russ, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for getting us all fired up. I know you should see the text line, the calls I'm getting lately. It was funny in the winter when everybody was pouting, we didn't sign our guys, I'm not going to a game, and I'm not watching a game on TV, and this guy needs to be fired, this guy needs to be fired, to people actually calling now, Russ, and apologizing and say, well, I was wrong, and this team's exciting, they're fun. And I know there's a long way to go, so we're definitely not taking a victory lap right now. There's still many games to be played, but I think the enthusiasm and excitement around town is super cool, man. It's a great time to be a Giants fan.
Absolutely, and I like just like you, I can judge what my day or night's going to be like based on the number of voicemails and emails that come in over the night.
Yeah, I get them on the text line every night. I get the calls.
Yeah.
But the one thing that we can be thankful for, Russ, all of us, you and your business and me and my business, is that Giants fans expect the best. They're picky. They want a winner. They expect a winner, and I don't think either one of us would want it any other way.
No, absolutely. Our fans are competitive. They want to win.
All right, Russ. Well, thanks for coming on tonight. We're excited to be at the ballpark. I'll see you there on Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday. I live right around the corner, so I'm there every day.
It's going to be great. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, Russ Stanley. Coming on tonight. Senior Vice President of Ticket Sales and Services. I'm sure the ticket sales are going well. I don't know the exact number, but there was a lot of walk-ups this weekend. So Giants fans are excited. They're coming back to the ballpark, and rightly so. It's a great team to watch. We're all excited about that. All right, coming up next, the 19th pick in the NBA draft is in. Your Golden State Warriors, did they pick somebody close by? Am I seeing that right? I think so. I think they picked somebody from right down the street. That coming up next on The Sports Leader.
With the 19th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Brandon Pojemski from Santa Clara University.
KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo. Now continues. Follow us on Twitter at KNBR. This is KNBR 1045 at 680, the sports leader.
Dude, I've been joking all night outside the studio that I don't care who the Warriors pick because I'm not into this as much as I should be, but I just want them to have a simple name that I could say on the air. I promise you, I've said that 10 times tonight. So the Warriors take Santa Clara's own Brandon Pojemski, but it's spelled P-O-D-Z-I-E-M-S-K-I, or iChart, Brandon iChart. But he was a freshman at Illinois before transferring to Santa Clara in the 2022-23 season. His lone year with the Broncos, this is off the top of my head, there's no way I'm reading this. The 20-year-old sharpshooter averaged 19.9 points per game while shooting almost 44% on threes. He also displayed tremendous basketball instincts by nabbing 8.8 rebounds per game, despite being a 6'5 shooting guard and averaging 1.8 steals per game. That was all show prep, just in case the Warriors drafted Brandon Pojemski. Yeah, they got the State Farm guy and Brandon Pojemski. No, that's good. Brandon Pojemski is the Warriors' first-round pick. No idea. Anybody seen him play this year at Santa Clara? 808 KNBR if you saw him play. Any Broncos out there listening in their car right now? They could give me a scouting report on Brandon iChart. I mean, 6'5 shooting guard fits, right? Good-looking kid. His mom was at the draft with him. They were sitting side by side. He had the Warriors hat on. We just watched it during the break. So the Warriors' first-round pick, number 22 from the University, and that's his number, the 19th pick. He's number 22 at Santa Clara this year. So Mike Dunleavy Jr.'s era has started with a trade today and his first pick. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the trade? We've been talking about that a lot tonight. I think it's a great trade. I'm not a Jordan Poole guy. I was a Jordan Poole guy. I jumped off the bandwagon. Not that you guys care what I think, but I have to have an opinion on this. I think it was a I think it was a good trade. I think it was time to say see you later to Jordan Poole. And now you got a guy, Chris Paul, and I know he's older, and I know he's injured a lot, but you have a mature individual with a lot of NBA experience filling in for Steph Curry. Should he get hurt? Does he need some time off? So that everything just doesn't kind of fall apart when Curry sits on the bench. I like this trade a lot. And forgive me if I'm going to be wrong, but Jordan Poole is going to go to the Wizards. He's going to score 30 a game. He's going to shoot 30 times a game. And he's going to maybe be an all-star, but sometimes guys don't fit. We were talking about this on the other side of the glass during the break. Here's the thing. We as fans don't know what goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of times when I've seen trades and I know players, whether I was a broadcaster or a player, when that guy just didn't fit in the clubhouse. Now, let me preface this with, I don't know anything about Jordan Poole. This is just a general take on sometimes we don't know what's going on. A guy could be on the training table, for instance, all the time. And you're like, dude, like, we need you to play. Like, most guys play with that. And then word spreads through the locker room, the clubhouse, that, like, this guy's soft. There could be a guy that goes out too much. You're like, bro, you need to, like, lock it up and come home one night before 2 a.m. because your performance is suffering. Or there's other guys that are just jerks and they don't get along with the teammates. They're always questioning the coach. They're cancers behind the scenes where they're spreading rumors and they're always talking crap on the plane. There's a negative vibe about them. There's other guys that because of their prowess or their contract that are energy vampires where they just suck the life out of a clubhouse merely by walking in. So there's a million things that go on behind the scenes besides what we are privy to with whatever we're seeing on the field or on the court that go into a trade. I remember a trade when I was back east. It was Lucas Giolito for Adam Eaton. And all the fans were up in arms because Lucas Giolito was a first-round pick. He threw 98 miles an hour, didn't really know where it was going, got called up with the Nats, and his mechanics were all over. I'd never seen a guy so elbows and kneecaps and couldn't repeat his delivery, couldn't throw a strike. And then the Nationals traded him for Adam Eaton to the White Sox. And everyone's like, for Adam Eaton? Adam Eaton had helped the Nats win a World Series. And Lucas Giolito is a fine pitcher. He's going on to a really nice career. He's shortened up his delivery. He's tightened up his arm stroke. He's become a good pitcher. But to me, any sort of trade in whatever sport that leads you to the promised land, that gets you to where you want to go, is a good trade. Even if Jordan Poole's a 10-time All-Star with the Wizards or whoever he goes to after that, I still think this is a good trade in the sense that the Warriors want to win right now, and the window is closing for the core group. And maybe that's the onus and the impetus for this, where the young and the old, the young and the new school and the old school weren't vibing together for whatever reasons. There was some obvious that we saw on TMZ. There were some other ones maybe behind the scene that we didn't see. And I always go back to this. And I've said this a lot. And if you've heard it, sorry. But if you have to have a speech before a Game 7 in the playoffs about you either get on this bus to Sacramento and you're in or you're not, that is concerning to me. That is alarming to me. It's Game freaking 7. You pack your speeches at the door. Game 7 speaks for itself. And the fact that Steph Curry had to get up on the bus or whatever the story or however it goes and say you're either in or you're in the way, you either want this or you don't, and if you don't get on the bus, that tells me that there was a fracture in the locker room. There's a fracture in the clubhouse. I don't know where it was. I don't know if it's from the punch, but it was about guys in minutes and checking all of their egos at the door and being all in and doing whatever it takes to win. You shouldn't have to do that based on your resume with 4 rings as an organization, as a franchise, to have your guy who usually doesn't speak up and say, either get on this bus or don't get on this bus. To me, that was the biggest tell. That was bigger than Draymond punching Jordan Poole. That before Game 7 against your Northern California rival, right down the street, that Steph Curry had to do that, there's something wrong. And that something wrong may have gotten traded today for the State Farm guy. Like, I think I'm sticking to that there's something that we don't know behind the scenes. And then now, I don't know anything about this guy. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your guys' asses. I have no idea the kid from Santa Clara. I mean, he's probably good. He's a first-round pick. He's going to pay a lot of money. But he was on the bench at Illinois. He transferred to Santa Clara, and he's 20 years old, and he averaged 19.9 points per game, shooting 44% from threes. Seems to fit into the Warriors' plans. You have his interview? Let's throw to Brandon Pazinski's interview on these folks.
You become just the 3rd Santa Clara player to be drafted since Steve Nash in '96 and Jalen Williams did it last year. How special is that for you?
Yeah, I think it's a special. Big shout out to Jalen. He's part of the reason I went to Santa Clara this past year in the portal. Just seeing him do it and how high he got, I tried to follow in his footsteps.
Your parents, John and Barb, are with you. I can tell you our analysts are already talking about his shooting ability and the organization that just drafted him. But having watched him from a young man to now in his basketball career, what are the Warriors getting in your son?
A hard grinder, a dog. I mean, you're going to see some that just don't understand his work ethic. He went to a military school. Someone says jump, you don't ask how high you do it. He will run through a wall for this organization. He gets to have Steph with him. Priceless.
That hat has to feel pretty good, huh, Brendan?
Yeah. Yesterday in media, they was asking me who I want to go up against, and I was like Steph. But now just being with him, there's a lot of Milwaukee guys out there already. So I'm really familiar. Obviously, Santa Clara is just right down the road from there. So I'm super excited, blessed. God put me in a great situation.
John, Barb, congratulations. Brandon, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Brandon. You're a Golden State Warrior. That's really cool. Can you imagine being drafted to that team? And I always said, like, when you get called up to the Yankees or you get drafted by the Warriors, there's a different expectation as a player where it's not just, trying to fit in. You're expected to play at a certain level to win a championship as a young player. That's asking a lot from a young person. Whether you're the shortstop for the Yankees or you're a point guard for the Warriors, you get called up to, say, the Royals. You have a little buffer there, a leeway, so to speak, to kind of get your feet wet. But when you get drafted by a championship team, the 49ers, the Warriors, the Giants, the Yankees, when you get called up, it's not just, hey, I'm just trying to establish myself as a major leaguer. You have to establish yourself and perform at a very high level, or else you're going back. You're going to the D League. You're going in the practice squad. You're going to AAA. So for this kid, he's getting a wonderful opportunity. I'd love to tell you something about him, but I really don't know, and I don't care right now. I've never been into drafts. The other day, they had an MLB combine on the MLB network from Chase Field in Arizona. I tweeted out at the time, I said, if you're watching this, nobody loves baseball more than me. If you're watching this, you have problems. You need to check in. 1-800-CHECK-IN. If you're watching an MLB combine from high school kids trying to throw it as hard as they can, as far as they can, run as fast as they can, who cares? Like, I care when I see you on TV and you're helping my team that I'm rooting for win games. This Podziemski guy, am I saying that right? Podziemski, Brandon Eichart, when he gets to chase and he's dropping threes, I'm going to be a big fan. Right now,
Brandon Podziemski.
Yeah, Brandon Podziemski. I'm excited for him. I think it's cool, but I don't care. I don't care until he's dropping 20. And, you know, I'm 3 beers deep at Chase, and I'm going nuts when he hits a 3 in the fourth quarter to help him win. Right now, it's just cool for him and his family. And I'm sure the Warriors made a good decision. Let's go to Buddy in Walnut Creek. Buddy, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP, how are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful, Buddy. Thanks for calling. Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
All right. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, it was interesting, the Chris Paul trade. When I first heard it, my immediate reaction was, why are we doing that? But the more I thought about it and kind of, Jordan Poole, I think if the reason why the Warriors got rid of him was a multiple choice question, the answer would be D, all of the above. And obviously between personality, locker room, salary, you name it, I think, I don't think it's any one of those things. I think it's kind of all of those things. But what I also thought about with Chris Paul, I know callers have called in and said, he's old, he gets hurt. Again, can't really dispute those things. But what I do like about it is I think the Warriors will use him much more as a facilitator.
Yes.
I heard an interesting stat about him is that he either is number 1 or number 2 in assists on 3-pointers. Well, I think he's got 2 of the best 3-point shooters in the history of the game. And I can even see them working him in a little bit with those 2 in the same game, not only just spelling Steph and giving him minutes, but also a different 3-guard look, being a real facilitator. And then I also think this kid from Santa Clara, Brandon, can play. As a matter of fact, I think me talked to Murph about him. Murph had him as actually predicted that the Warriors might draft him. But again, have another guy that can shoot the ball. Chris can be a little bit more of a veteran there, a little bit more of a teacher. Steph's not getting any younger either. So I like the fact that he's going to be in there, bring some maturity, some stability to the locker room, which, certainly you being a former big leaguer, in my opinion, to be a winning organization, that's almost not, besides talent, that's the number one thing.
I agree.
To get along, to have chemistry that you said you can't teach chemistry, you can't draft chemistry, and the whole chicken and egg, does chemistry come before playing well? I think playing well is a result of good chemistry and good talent. So I think that's the biggest difference that Chris Paul will make is the chemistry that he'll bring to the team and the locker room.
Yeah, hopefully Brandon doesn't get punched and he just he could be a war. Hey, you're drafted in the first round. You're about to get punched. No, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I don't think we have to worry about that. Buddy, thanks for the call, man. Good stuff. I am enjoying all the callers tonight. I enjoy you guys every night, but tonight you guys are on fire. Let's go to Rosenbag. Rosenbag, you're on KNBR. What's going on, Rosenbag?
Not too much. FP, how are you doing?
Wonderful. Having a good time?
Awesome. I always ask you, so I have to do it again. I'm actually in the middle of Safeway right now, picking up some groceries.
What are you buying? What's in your cart right now? Go.
A Monster 4-pack, 2 bubbly sparkling waters, 5 of the sparkling Safeway, carbonated zero sugar waters, and I'm ashamed to say this, but 2 White Claws.
Just 2 White Claws?
Yeah, just for now. I mean,
don't be ashamed to say that.
I got to keep it under wraps for my wife. So,
can you scream as loud as you can, "Safeway, I love you," real quick?
Safeway, I love you. I got a response.
Your groceries should be free after that. Good job. All right. Well, let me ask you this: do you go to the self-checkout or do you go to the live person?
I can't do self-checkout with alcohol, so no, I don't.
Oh, that's
steal
true.
them. I actually pay for all my stuff, so it is in San Francisco, San Jose. We're a little bit more high class around here.
Does the Safeway card, I have one, and I punch my phone number in every time I go there. It saves me a couple of bucks, but is it worth it, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you could actually go to, I think it's Arco.
Yeah.
Or Chevron, and you can get, discounts on gas, too. So.
Wait, I didn't know that. So I punch in my phone number with my Safeway, or do I need my actual Safeway card to get the discount?
No, just your phone number. You punch it in the Chevron thing, and then it'll give you, like 10 or 15 cents off gas, yeah.
What is this voodoo you're talking about? I had no idea. I had no. Look at the callers picking me up. All right, Rosenbag, I appreciate you screaming really loud in Safeway. What do you want to talk about tonight?
I wanted to talk about this Brandon iPod guy that you're talking about.
iChart, like E. By the way, the iChart goes. It's a big E up there, and the second line in every iChart. Google it right now is FP. It's the second line in every iChart. FP is the second line.
Can I do it after? Or
no, do it right now. Do it right now while we're talking. Watch. If you Google iChart, and then you press images. And if you can see, it's like the second biggest line. So you'd almost have to be. Well, I don't want to say that. Images, iChart, iChart, images. Hold on, we'll get back to the Warriors in a second. Did you see the second line? Look at it, it's FP.
It's always. I remember you saying this on one of your earlier.
Yeah, I never repeat myself. So yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's get back to sports, Rosenbag. What do you want to talk about?
Just hearing what little what that interview was. He said he went to a military school and everything. That's going to be huge. I mean, if Jordan Poole had this problem with, 4-time NBA winners and them telling him what to do and everything. I mean, like good that we got rid of him. I mean, he can go hang out with John Morant or something for people that aren't very mature.
I don't think he's along those lines, though. I don't think he's like waving guns on Instagram. I just think he didn't fit with the Warriors, and they want to move in a different direction. There's probably more to it.
I just think that he's like, if he's got to get punched by Draymond Green, I know Draymond's fiery, but I mean, you're obviously not mature enough to go and hang out with the big boys. That's just my opinion. So with this guy going to the military academy or wherever he went schooling, I think he's going to just pick up everything. And I think he's going to be a sponge because, that's kind of what the military does to you. It teaches you not only leadership, but followership. And followership is just as important as leadership, if that makes sense.
I agree with you 100%. All right, well, maybe the Warriors got a good one. I have no idea, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do. I don't care about drafts. I don't care about I'm a baseball guy. I don't care about the MLB draft. I don't care about the NFL draft. I want to see you catching passes, throwing passes, hitting home runs, knocking down threes before I'm going to get excited. So we'll see what happens. On the way out, Rosenbag, can you say like FP Santangelo on The Sports Leader? Listen, scream as loud as you can. Listen to FP Santangelo on The Sports Leader.
Hey, everybody, listen to FP Santangelo on KNBR, The Sports Leader.
Dude, you're the best. We're getting advertisements at Safeway. Rosenbag, I love you, man. That was good stuff. I appreciate it.
Love you too.
All right, see you, man. That was fantastic. And now, see, we had a meeting today where they said be creative. That was creative. I'm having callers.
I love you.
Having callers shout out my name. If you call me from a drive-through, a store, anywhere in public, I'm going to make you shout out my name. So maybe we get a few more listeners on The Sports Leader. All right, coming up next, Kerry Keating is going to lock us all in with the Warriors, the trade. I recorded this earlier, so I have to be full disclosure here. If I don't ask Kerry about the draft pick, it's because we recorded this earlier. He could only come on at a certain time tonight. So if you're like, why isn't he asking about the Warriors pick? We recorded this at like 5 o'clock. So it's really good, though. He really breaks down the Jordan Poole dynamic with the Warriors, the Chris Paul dynamic. You really want to hear this. So Kerry Keating, former coach at Santa Clara and current analyst on ABC 7, coming up next on The Sports Leader.
Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo continues live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, my next guest tonight is going to help us make sense of this trade today. Chris Paul to the Wizards, or Chris Paul to the Warriors, Jordan Poole to the Wizards. I knew I would do that, Paul and Poole today sometime. Kerry Keating, former coach at Santa Clara. He is the NBA studio analyst on ABC7, joins us right now. Coach Keating, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on.
Doing great, FP. Thanks for having me, man.
So did this surprise you at all today?
Well, I think the surprise is what came back in return. I don't think it was as much of a surprise in what went out the door. Maybe the surprise was how much had to go out with it, though. But I think this also tells a little bit of the market value that was perceived for Jordan around the league. And it's a tough position to be in. Obviously, the seat changed with Bob leaving and Mike coming in, and this is the first big decision. Interesting that 3 days ago he said, Mike Dunleavy, that is, we want Jordan here for the remainder of the contract and part of the team, and had to do the reverse. So he's learning on the fly pretty quickly that you can't necessarily stick to your guns on all things that happen in a day. Look, there's a lot to unpack here, FP. I mean, this is clearly, in my mind, from a coach's standpoint, a solid move to get a backup point guard that is reliable from a mental and a tactical standpoint. Maybe not as reliable from a physical standpoint. You know, the one thing about Jordan that you could say, and you look back to last year, I think he played in all 82 games. He started about half of them. He was productive from a point standpoint in half of them. The lack of production got maligned. The lack of production in the playoffs obviously got maligned. If they can get 50, 60 games out of Chris Paul as a backup point guard, someone they can rely on, I think it will be looked back upon as a good trade. The key in this is going to be what they can get in veteran minimums now, because clearly they're going to be up against filling in some gaps with some draft picks going out the door down the road, with Rollins going out the door now. A little bit of a surprise, and then again, nothing in the NBA should surprise anyone. And clearly this signals that they're going to probably go all in to keep Draymond and go all in to try to keep that core intact to see if they can get one more championship out of them.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Dunleavy Jr. was lying talking about Jordan Poole's contract, his rookie contract. I mean, he stayed through his rookie contract. His 4-year, $125 million extension kicks in July. So technically he wasn't lying when he said that about Jordan Poole, the way I look at it and the way they'll probably spin it. So, I mean, what happened with Jordan Poole? Like, I was a huge fan when I first got back here from the East Coast last year, or 2 years ago, whatever, when they won the championship. And then this year, he was just all over the place. He regressed. I know they're saving a lot of money with his contract finally kicking in. So what happened to Jordan Poole? Can we trace it back to the punch? Because he really regressed this year in my eyes.
Yeah, I think these kids go through a maturation process that can be accelerated by who they're surrounded with. And I think clearly in the case of Jordan, that happened last year, and he filled a tremendous need in the championship run. The year before last, now the last year is this year, but in the championship run of season prior. And then the expectations become higher. You achieve to a level, and the team invests in you for a future. And then expectations change when you have to deliver more, and not just from a point perspective, but from a locker room perspective, from a tactical advancement perspective. I mean, there's clearly cases watching them play this year where he was, I guess you could say, at odds with how things should be run on the floor, and you could see some of that frustration in Steve's face. I don't think he was hard-headed about it. I just think he needed more time to mature into the system. And quite honestly, I don't know if the Warriors felt they had the time to let that happen. Finances be damned. I mean, there's a whole level of luxury tax levels involved here, and clearly what they committed to him. But this clearly signals that they have to invest and want to invest in Steph and Clay, and to a lesser extent, until it's finalized, Draymond. And they probably felt that they could get the short-term production even from an aging point guard, because let's be honest, they weren't really going to go all in and start Jordan now that Clay was back for a full year wholesale, and they probably won't be in a position to potentially start Chris Paul. It'll be fascinating to see what decisions Steve makes with Chris Paul, because that is a tremendously small lineup. And offensively, it can probably produce, although Chris Paul is traditionally a pick-and-roll type guard. That's where he's excelled over his career. But defensively, it puts a heck of a lot of pressure on presumably Kuminga and obviously Draymond in the front court to defend when you're looking at Steph and Klay playing on the perimeter. And let's be honest, FP, Steph's one of the greatest guards, but really is in the system that is here a point guard. So the double point guard system with him and Chris Paul, maybe not ideal for what Steph can do. So there's a lot still to be determined here and how they go about filling out the rest of this roster. But look, thankful for what Jordan brought to the table, obviously in a short amount of time. This does save some luxury tax ability and give Mike Dunleavy a little bit of wiggle room. But really a little bit more on the guys that are coming back to not have to worry about having any trade remorse in this down the road, depending on what happens next year with Chris Paul.
Talking to Kerry Keating, NBA host on ABC 7, former Santa Clara coach, nice enough to join us tonight. So, Coach, don't you now have a point guard? Because it seemed like when Steph came out last year and Jordan Poole went in, they lost a lot. I mean, he was out of control at times. I know he had some good games, but it was really inconsistent. Don't you have now like a veteran guy that can run the show and you don't lose a whole lot from how the offense is supposed to be run standpoint when Steph Curry needs a break on the bench?
Yeah, and this is a durability question, and I think one thing that can adhere to that durability over the course of the season is if Chris Paul is willing to take a lesser role from a minute standpoint and become that second unit point guard. I mean, that's a huge advantage. I think you're spot on with that, FP. If he can get that second unit under control, if he gives a little bit more of a veteran presence on the floor with the younger guys that they have, with the guys like Moody, with Kuminga, with whomever comes in by way of the draft. I mean, I think DiVincenzo gives you a little bit of that, but it also takes some pressure off him to play the point guard role, if you will, and puts him back in his natural position on the wing. There's a little bit of a dearth right there that with GP2, with Moody, with DiVincenzo, you're now kind of getting into a sticky situation with another guard, if you will, and maybe the second unit becomes smaller. Again, we need some front court presence. I think this puts a big burden on Jonathan Kuminga to develop into a more reliable player that I think that the organization feels he can. And it also obviously puts some onus on Draymond to not only stay healthy but be dialed in on that first unit. But I think you're right. I think just looking at the total package that Chris Paul brings is understanding how to play. As I mentioned, he's kind of thrived in more of a pick and roll type environment. I don't know who that person becomes. I don't know if they try to turn Kuminga into that from his time when he's on the floor with Chris Paul. It'll be fascinating to see if he can make that adjustment into the high post split type offense and the constant movement. There's a lot of wear and tear that goes on in that. And he's not the guy that's going to necessarily be moving as much as Klay and Steph, but I think he has an understanding and an ability to adjust to that in the time that he's on the floor with that starting unit. It's an interesting dynamic. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities for him to fill in the roster now. It takes away a little bit of the social conflict, obviously, that you mentioned in the punch and what resulted out of that. It never seemed like it ever got resolved. I think the Warriors, unfortunately, were put in a public situation where the video got out, but they never really publicly resolved it. And this kind of resolves that. It puts it behind. There are no more questions to that. Whatever the reasoning behind it was, it really doesn't matter anymore because it's behind us. The season's over. We have to move on. And obviously, by putting Jordan in a different situation, there's no questions to answer. This really becomes now more of a focus on Draymond if it's something that can help him get a little bit more efficient heading into next year. I'm really excited to see what happens as a result of this in the offseason. Clearly, we'll find out soon what happens in the draft as a result of the pick they can pick up late in the first round and see if there's any more moves to be made and see which veterans are willing to come in for that minimum to make this run with Steph and Klay and presumably Draymond.
You sound like such a coach. Hey, that was then, this is now. I mean, it's almost like you coached or something about don't worry about what happened then. I'm still trying to figure it out, man. I'm a conspiracy theorist. There's something we don't know about Jordan Poole. There is, and there was something off all season long. And I don't know if it was the punch. I don't know why he got punched. Not that he deserved to get punched. Nobody deserves to get punched. But there's something there that we don't know because they chose to keep Draymond. Mike Dunleavy Jr. came out and said, we're keeping Draymond. We need him to win. And they get rid of Jordan Poole and send him to the Wizards. I mean, there's something behind the scenes. And I'm not asking you to speculate. I mean, that's what we do on Sports Talk Radio. Yeah. But I just feel like there's a piece of this puzzle missing on the behind the scenes on maybe what kind of teammate he was, what kind of person he was. I don't want to assault the guy's character because I don't know. But based on a lot of years of experience of being in locker rooms, you as well, there just seemed to be something off all season long with their chemistry and with Jordan Poole. There's a mystery here that hasn't been solved yet.
Well, let's just take a coach's viewpoint of it. You mentioned that. And when I watched them play and you see certain elements of the game where you thought there'll be a mental translation into the importance of possessions and taking care of the ball and making good decisions, you could just you could feel it coming. You could just feel the turnover coming. You could feel the bad shot coming. As we joked on the side, he had this YOLO mentality, like, hey, I'm going for it. And in some settings and some elements, that can be a competitive advantage. In the way that the Warriors are structured, it's really not necessary to operate that way. We don't need that. We have the killers in the backcourt from an offensive standpoint in Clay and certainly Steph, and we have it on the defensive end with Draymond. So you don't need to be that guy. You just need to be solid. I mean, I think that's always been a mantra of Steve's, like, look, let's not get crazy. Let's play fundamental. Let's push when we can, but let's defend, let's rebound. And some of the decisions that Jordan would make, even on short-term possessions when he was in the game, you could just feel, man, at some point, too, I remember having these conversations, although at a way lower level, you want guys to be better. You believe guys can be better. You see something in them. It may not translate. I mean, there's a very real possibility that although they took the leap and gave him the big contract, betting on the come and obviously having the good season when they won the championship, then maybe they just didn't think he was going to fit and be good enough for them. Maybe he wasn't making that, again, speculative as it may be, but you can take that viewpoint and go back to plenty of possessions over the course of the season and easily come to the conclusion that he just didn't get it. Like, yeah, he could shoot. Yeah, he could put the ball on the floor. He had a little bit of a handle. Maybe he filled some gaps in, but there was easily a lot more of the bad, I think, in aggregate that may have outweighed the good, off the court stuff, notwithstanding, that maybe he just didn't fit in. I mean, you could make that argument. I don't know if the Warriors would admit that. No one likes to admit mistakes they make, especially when they're evaluating multi-million-dollar talent and players. But, man, there were definitely plenty of times, FP, where you're watching this kid play and saying, like, what is he thinking? What is he doing? And take it a step further from a tactical standpoint. There were times where he would make plays on the offensive end, and they would be those YOLO moments, and the ball was still live, and he's laying on the floor, and they're going back the other way on 5-on-4. This wasn't just something that happened in a key time in the playoffs. This has happened repeatedly, and you are what your habits are, and I don't know if they could have broken those habits as much as they've tried. Maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he got complacent when he knew he had his contract signed. Who knows? You never know at this day and age with these kids. I mean, you and I talked before. Look at what they're deciding to wear to this draft night tonight. Some of these guys are going to have haberdashery remorse here when they get older and more mature into what they actually chose to wear on their big night. I remember watching those guys, FP, when the baggy suits were back in the early 2000s, like the T-Max of the world. These guys were literally wearing tents on their body, and I can only imagine with now what they look back on. So we're going to have that cyclical thing come back with these guys. Look, they only get a chance to do it once. It's a very fine line. Maybe they get the bag, as the kids like to say, but it's a matter of what you do and how long that bag will last. And in Jordan's case, it's going to have to stretch its way out in D.C. now instead of the Bay Area.
Well, he'll get to jack up 30 shots a game in D.C. We'll see how that whole thing goes. I'm sure he's going to have a wonderful career as a Wizard. And getting to the close, yeah, those were the MC Hammer pants in the suits that were real big and Stop Hammer Time. And then, Coach, come on. Oh, yeah. If we go back, I was home for Father's Day, and I was looking at my prom pictures from 1985, and I had a white tuxedo on with a pink cummerbund, a pink bow tie, and I had white gloves because I wanted to be like David Lee Roth and I'm Just a Gigolo video for Van Halen. So, yeah, we all look back at our clothes from back in the day and cringe. So, I mean, I don't know who dresses better or worse, the NFL on draft day or the NBA on draft day. What do you think?
Well, it's a toss-up, man. You could make an argument either way that one is better or worse depending on how you look at it. But I'm in complete agreement. It's always fun to look back on that, a decade later. I remember when I first started making a little bit of money to buy what were custom suits at the time when I was an assistant at UCLA. I had a 6-button jacket on that I thought was the best looking thing ever with like a regular collar on top of it. It was straight out of that draft time too that I mentioned with T-Mac and those guys. I wish I still had that, but I have to go back and look at some of those pictures, and I definitely would cringe looking at them now, knowing what could have been now, what was then. I definitely will take now as opposed to then.
Coach, I was drafted in the 20th round. I was in my hotel room in Omaha, Nebraska, playing the College World Series in my underwear. So that's what I wore to my draft when the hotel phone. And here, this is a true story. We were playing jokes on each other for the draft, right? We were calling each other's room and going, "This is Phil Smith from the Pirates. We got you in the 4th round. Congratulations!" And guys were jumping around the room. So we were doing this for like 2 or 3 days, and then I actually got the call from Pat Doherty, the scout from the Expos. And I told him to go F himself on the phone because I thought it was my teammate. And I actually got drafted. So, yeah, I wore underwear to the day that I got drafted. Coach, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate you coming on, straightening this whole thing out, making us understand what goes into an NBA trade and Jordan Poole going to the Wizards. And then we get the State Farm guy here in San Francisco. So we're excited about that. Coach, take care, man. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me. Anytime. If you have a good one.
Kerry Keating just gets it, doesn't he? I just love talking to him. He just knows so much about basketball. He's got a great personality. He's fantastic on TV. Big fan of Kerry Keating, so thanks for coming on, Kerry. Good stuff. All right, coming up next, I'm a big fan of this guy, too, Carlos Ramirez. We just got guest after guest after guest tonight. It's Guestapalooza on KNBR tonight. So Carlos Ramirez, he covers the Giants, the Warriors, the 49ers, Raf's softball team, all of that for MVC Sports Bay Area. Carlos Ramirez coming up next on the Sports Leader.
Listen to FP Santangelo on KNBR, the sports leader.
This should have been my walk-up song. Ooh, what you saying? David Lee Roth. Just a Gigolo with Van Halen. We were just talking. My next guest, Carlos Ramirez, joins us, and we are always happy to have him on. Carlos, I don't know if you heard, but I was talking about my senior prom in my suit that I wore. It was all white. I had a pink cummerbund. I had a pink bow tie and I had white gloves on underneath the all-white suit with my Ray-Bans on back in 1985. And I was trying to emulate David Lee Roth in Just a Gigolo video. I don't know if you remember that back in the day, but you're probably too young for that.
I do. First of all, thank you for having me again, but yes. I do remember it, and now I can't not imagine it. Thank you for destroying brain cells that I needed. Thank you for that. No, I'm just kidding. How's it going?
That's good. Thanks for coming on, man. I always love catching up with you. You're becoming like a part of the show, and I really appreciate it. I mean, we have to talk a little Giants baseball and what's been going on the court of 3rd and King and on the road trips for these guys. I mean, minus today, and I knew, and I've seen this before, when teams go on a big streak, it ends with a thud. It always does. Because there's so much energy spent on coming from behind, winning games, and physical, mental energy that was spent, maybe even the celebrations in the clubhouse and on the plane and the buses. But, they're playing some good baseball, and this is a good baseball team right now. You guys have to be having fun doing the pre- and post-game talking about this squad.
We're having a blast. I mean, we always do, whether they win or not, but when they win, it's better. The ratings go up. People are more engaged. There's more bigger crowds out in Oracle. So it's been fun. Plus we've had the Greek guy of pitching this week here, and he's always fun to work with. I mean, every single analyst we get to work with, they're studs. But Georgie has this energy, and we have fun, and we talk about different stuff, and I can make fun of his insane Jordan shoe collection. So it's always good.
Well, it's amazing right now, and I know you've been at the ballpark and you've kind of felt the vibe from the crowd. It's just got a tangible electricity now. I don't know what it was like in 2021. I wasn't here, but I don't know that I have to go back to 2010, maybe in September, when I saw Giants fans this in tune with every pitch and cheering for things to happen, not waiting till something happens. Just the electricity and the vibe of the ballpark has been way different this homestand.
Yeah, I mean, I was here in 2001, and the playoff games against LA were really good. The vibe was electric. There were several games, a lot of games actually that season that Oracle was really good. But I agree with you. There's something different from this season, and I think it stems from the fact that this run or this iteration of the Giants is younger and it's homegrown. That 2021 team was older, was more experienced. It did have this kind of last hurrah for different players, like perhaps Brandon Bell. We didn't know if it was going to be the last great Brandon Crawford season. It hasn't. This season has been really good. Evan Longoria had a great season. So it was a different vibe. This feels more electric, and I think it's because of the youth movement.
You know what else, and I don't think anybody talks about it a whole lot, is the division is wide open this year. The Dodgers don't seem like the Dodgers. And the Diamondbacks are great, and this is a big series coming up starting tomorrow. But it's not like you have this dominant team in the division. It's the Dodgers. I mean, what we saw last weekend in L.A., they're a good team. They're a good team, they're the Dodgers. But it's not like, oh, my God. I mean, after you get through, like, Freeman and Betts, and I know Max Muncy wasn't there, so I understand that. Will Smith's a good player, but it's not like superstar after superstar and Bellinger and Turner and Trey Turner, and it's just a different vibe with that team. And I think maybe the combination of what you're saying, the young enthusiasm, and that the division's wide open is why Giants fans are all of a sudden super excited about this team. When this winter, as we know, we all felt it, that they were not happy.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to add up to what you just said, I think there's a different element as well, and it's that games now matter more. I mean, divisional games matter more because you have fewer of them. So if you're going to either gain ground or gain separation with whoever team you're chasing or is chasing you, every one of those games has a bigger meaning. So you're going to face every single team 6 times less than last season. So I think if you combine all those factors and the fact that this win streak happened on the road, beating teams like the Cardinals and the Dodgers, and now the Padres 3-4, and now here comes the D-backs and they're number one, the top of the division. I think that combination of elements and factors makes for a very electric recipe for the Giants, and it comes at a great time because the sole attention of the Bay Area sports landscape is solely on baseball. You have no 49ers, you have no Warriors, except for today's crazy trade and the draft, but those are specific moments, not a season. The Sharks are not playing, so it's all very much Giants oriented. So it's a very good time from a brand perspective and a fan engagement perspective for the Giants to be good.
Good points by Carlos Ramirez. Nice enough to join us tonight. He covers the Giants, the Warriors, the Niners, Raft softball team for NBC Sports Bay Area. He does it all. So we just had Blake Sable on. I don't know if you heard it, but he's kind of like the forgotten rookie in all this thing because he made the team out of spring training. His catching was noticeable, I guess is the nice way to say it early in the season, and now it's not. And he's kind of like falling into a really nice role with this ball club where his catching has become better. He's playing a really decent left field. He's getting big hits. He's hitting right around 260 with 7 home runs. He's having a nice year all of a sudden, and he's kind of like the forgotten rookie when the other guys are getting all the headlines. Are you guys talking about Blake Sable a lot on your show?
We are, but I think he's in a different category because even though he is a rookie, he's a Rule 5 guy. So he wasn't brought up through the Giants farm system. There wasn't any Blake Sable hype. There wasn't any. It's not a Farhan draft pick. I think he's more in even though he is a rookie and he's older. So I think he falls more into the hidden gems, the hidden Farhan gems, the Stremskys and the Lamont Wades and the Tara Estradas and the J.D. Davises of the roster more so than the Schmitz and the Baileys and the Matos and the Keaton Wins and the Tristan Becks, because even though again he is a rookie, to me the biggest improvement he's made this season so far is his discipline. I mean, he has cut significantly down on the strikeouts. Walks are up. The quality of contact is up. He's now more of a gap-to-gap hitter. He's not so much a pull hitter. His discipline is significantly improved, and his catching. Remember, listen, man. You know this better than I do. It's the major leagues are. It's not an ideal place to learn a craft like catching, and you can see the difference from Patrick Bailey, who was a born and bred catcher who came through the system being an everyday catcher, to Blake Sable, who was just splitting left field and catching duties. And even though that's the truth, we haven't seen a catcher interference in a while. We haven't seen those, early shivers, those mistakes that he made early in the season. He's coming to himself. He's become a very reliable left-handed backup catcher to the point that no one seems either worried or asking questions about, hey, what's the deal with Joey Bart? When are we going to get this backup catcher or this, highly touted prospect back from AAA, because he's played so good both behind the dish and also with the bat. And yesterday, I asked Sean Jelly on Postgame Live about Blake Sable, and he had this glowing comment about how good he was and how focused he was before the game on the game plan. So I think you're right. He does deserve more air and space and print space on newspapers and websites.
Yeah, good points. He had more pressure on him than any of the other rookies, because if he doesn't perform, he goes back to the Pirates in the minor leagues. If the homegrown guys, they just go back to Sacramento and they can come up again. But you develop relationships with guys in spring training and through the month of April and May. And if all of a sudden he's hitting 190 and he can't catch, he's going back to the Pirates. And I know the Pirates are having a decent season, but it's the Pirates. And you're playing in San Francisco at Oracle Park, all of a sudden in front of 38, 39, 40,000 people every night. So when you talk about what he's accomplished, he's done it all under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, where the ramifications of not performing were maybe bigger than the other guys. Talking to Carlos Ramirez. Carlos, the Warriors today, we can transition a little bit. You're a sports guy. You're a Bay Area sports guy. What do you think about the Jordan Poole trade? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it has so many different angles to view this from. One, I think the clear one is that it's a money situation mixed with a sporting situation, with a basketball scenario situation. The first one is evident. I mean, the Warriors needed the money to make space for the new Draymond Green contract, plus avoiding the significant luxury tax penalties that would have included the Warriors had they signed Draymond Green and kept Jordan Poole for the foreseeable future. It was going to be really, really heavy on Joe Lacob's wallet, and that's something to be reminiscent to just keep in mind. Second thing is, Chris Paul is, I think he's a great fit for what the Dubs need for their second unit. We might, and I don't think he'll make such a big deal of, am I going to start? Am I going to come from the bench? I think he cares more about quality of minutes, production, and ultimately just getting that elusive ring on his finger. And if he can become that second unit general, if he can play 25 to 30 minutes a night and be productive and lead the Moses Moody and the Jonathan Kumingas if he stays with the Warriors and whoever else is playing on that second unit, and if he can give Steph a day off here and there, he'll play, of course, with both Steph and Clay and Draymond and Looney and so on and so forth. But I think he gives them also a different rhythm, a different dynamic. He's such a good pick and roll player. Remember the days of him with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan playing with the Clippers. And I think if Jonathan Kuminga stays with the Warriors, I'm just seeing him playing off the pick and roll with Jonathan Kuminga, even with Kevon Looney and other players they might bring into the mix. I think from a basketball standpoint, he fits better than Jordan Poole, but it's also a one-year deal. It's a win-now move for the Warriors, and it makes sense just because I think the relationship, FP, was broken with Draymond Green. Both the financial situation, the relationship was broken, as I explained earlier, but also the locker room was broken. And this is just my take from outside. The fact that Steph gave that speech he gave before that pivotal game in Sacramento, the fact of the things that leaked and that were said after the punch throughout the season, I think it was just it wasn't a smooth locker room, and you need that if you're going to win, whether it's the NFL, Major League Baseball, or the NBA. And I think from that standpoint, it fits. It's a win-now move. Both parts are desperate because time is ticking for both. The Golden State core with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and for Chris Paul. So I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. And if they were all on board, meaning Steve Kerr and Steph and Clay and Draymond, then I trust them and hope for the best.
If you could punch one person at NBC Sports Bay Area that you work with, who would it be?
No one. I love them all. Why would you ask me such a dangerous question? If on a trash talking day, if we're playing basketball, I would punch Georgia, but on the arm, never in the face. Never in the face. That's a no. I would perhaps punch Georgie just like a brotherly punch. You know what I'm saying? Like on the shoulder, like, hey, good job, or hey, pass me the basketball or something like that. But nothing aggressive, nothing hurtful, just a friendly, competitive, driven punch in the shoulder is what I would say.
Come on, when Sean Estes is talking too much, you just don't want to smoke him right next to you. Come on.
No, I'll just get up and go. You know what I do? Both Laura and I would get up, go get coffee, do some yoga,
then come back,
get a massage, get some food. We go to we do some laundry. We get some work done. Nice workout. We come back, check on Sean. He's still talking. We can go out again. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Those last two questions are right out of Gary Radnich's book. I said them. I'm like, oh my God, I sound like Gary Radnich right now asking these questions. Carlos, we got to bounce. We're up against the clock, but I appreciate you taking out time late at night to come on the show. I mean, I love our friendship and how it's developed over the past year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been. And love seeing you at the ballpark. You do great work. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Carlos Ramirez, the person. I rarely see you on the air. I think you're great at what you do, but I like the person. So thanks for coming on, dude. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You know, it's the feeling is mutual. I love you. I love your son, FP. I love what you do. I root for you. You've done a great job with the Giants this season on the play-by-play. And by the way, I'm going to be joining the KNBR family for a week on July 3rd, 5th, and 6th. So I'm psyched. I'm excited. I'm thankful about that. Some filling job that week.
That's all. Are you doing the night show? Because I'm going to Los Angeles for the 4th of July.
No. I'm doing the Papa and Lunch show on that week. So I just hope that Lund, the John and Papa get rid of the beer cans and the bottles. So it's a nice workspace for me to go into. That's all I wish for it. That's all I want. But all joking aside, I'm really thrilled and thankful for the opportunity to have some space up with KNBR.
You might Wally Pip somebody, dude. You're good at what you do. I love it.
Thank you.
We'll see, dude.
Thank you.
All right, I'll see you at the ballpark probably tomorrow.
By the way, great joke by FB Jr. on Twitter with the Giants jersey.
That was good. I don't think that was his own, but it was good. He said, if I die, I want to be buried in the Giants jersey because then I'll come back.
Yeah,
that was his tweet the other night. He had to steal
it.
that from somebody.
He's not that clever.
He's not that clever. And I went in the bunker the other night, and I didn't know. I read it, and I was getting a lot of response. I got tons of retweets, and I passed the baton to my son as being funnier than I am. And in the bunker the other night, I said, there comes a time. This is really tough. The Giants have won their 10 in a row. I don't want to be a buzzkill right now. But, there comes a time in every father's life when they have to pass the baton. And my son just tweeted this, and I read it, and I said, I think he's funnier than me now. And I go, this is really hard for me to admit on the air in 50,000 watts, but I'm going to pass the baton to my son because I think he's funnier than me. But then, after the show, I did more research, and I don't think he made that up. I think he stole that from somebody. So now I'm taking the baton back from his ass, and I'm still funny.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think he Googled jokes, jerseys, dying or something, and he just,
He's a little punk, and that's what he's got going for him. All right, Carlos.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
See you, brother.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Carlos Ramirez, becoming one of my better friends in the Bay Area. He does a really good job on TV, and he's a wonderful person. When I first came back, I watched him on a show, and I was like, it's a different style. And then I got to know him as a person. Then I watched how he did it on the air. And then I got to know him as a person even more, and I watched how I did it on the air. And when you know the total package of Carlos Ramirez, he's very talented. He's speaking his second language. So any of you guys go on TV and try to speak in a second language and do as well as he does every single night. He's wonderful at what he does. I'm a huge fan of the person. And he's a great broadcaster, but I'm a bigger fan of the person. Carlos Ramirez is becoming a really good friend. All right, coming up next, we got open phones till 9 o'clock. 808 KNBR is the number. Do you like the trade? Sorry, I'm getting a hoarse voice. Do you like the trade? Do you think it was a good trade? What do you think about the state of the Giants? So we're Giants-Warriors all night tonight. And I know we did a lot of Warriors. You're supposed to play the hits. But damn it, you guys tune in to hear me, the former Giant, talk about baseball. So we're going to talk a lot about baseball. So I'm turning on KNBR to hear FP talk about the Warriors. No, you turn on the KNBR to hear everybody else talk about the Warriors. Tom Tolbert played for the Warriors. We've talked 3 hours about the Warriors tonight. We're going to switch gears and talk about baseball. But if you want to chime in on the trade, you're free to do it. 808 KNBR is the number. I got tons of text messages on the text line that I got to read. Your call's next on the Sports Leader.
absolutely love this pick. And, the Golden State Warriors are looking for someone who can contribute right away. Podziemski can shoot the basketball on the move. He can shoot it on the catch. He can shoot it off the dribble. And I love that he plays with an edge.
Well, he's a lefty, and he's very good athletically. He's got a 39-inch vertical. But to JJ's point, he's an outstanding shooter. A versatile scorer that can make plays, and he's a good passer. But shoots 44% from three. Excellent in catch-and-shoot situations. Very good off the dribble. Averaged 20 points a game at Santa Clara. Shot 48% overall from the field. And now he joins Steve Nash and Jalen Williams as first-round picks from the Broncos.
Missed an interview or want to hear it again? Catch them all at knbr.com/podcasts. You're tuned into KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
What if they just randomly slipped in a line when they're evaluating somebody? He's 6'5", he's left-handed, he's got a 39-inch vertical, looks really good in the shower, he's got a great shot from way beyond the arc, he's got tremendous range and looks great in it. Just throw that in there. Because it sounds like they're evaluating cattle when they're talking about guys. Yeah, he's a lefty, so Mully's got to like that pick, right? Got a left-handed sharpshooter for your Golden State Warriors, the 19th pick. Brandon Podziemski. It's easier to say his name than you look at the spelling. The spelling's, it's way over. It's all over the place. It's like eye chart. There's a catcher. What was his name? His nickname was eye chart because he was all over the place. A lot of great text messages coming in. I've been ignoring the text line. Hey, FP, such a solid interview with Carlos. You guys need a KNBR show together. I'd be down with that. I'd be down with any other human being to talk to at night. That would be fantastic to just communicate with people. Besides you guys, that's why I love the phone call so much. Somebody says, FP, you have a son? I think so. I'm pretty sure he's mine. Not 90. I'm about 99% sure he's mine because he looks just like me. But there was a time when he had blonde hair when he was a kid. I was checking out the UPS guys, hey, that guy's got blonde hair. That guy's got blonde hair. Wait a minute. He did. Until he was 3, he had blonde hair. We're Italian. Nobody in my family has blonde hair. My ex-wife has dark brown hair. He had blonde hair. Started looking at the UPS guys, the mailman. Hey, that guy's got blonde hair. That's terrible. Hey, I need you to use your Warrior Coach's contacts, Chase, to get me a deal with the CP3 Warriors jersey. But by the way, my son is FP3. So that's why I like CP3 to the Warriors. Giants relief arms are exciting. The 650 chiming in. They are. I've always said over the years that the B bullpen, the bullpen when you're behind by 2 or 3 runs is just as important as the A bullpen when you're ahead 2 or 3 runs. Why? They give you a chance to jump back into a game. If a 3-run deficit turns into a 5-run, turns into a 6-run deficit, it kills the morale and the vibe in the dugout, and you ain't coming back. But if you can just hang around, 2-run deficit, the 2-run deficit, 2-run deficit, they keep it right there, 3-run deficit, it lets us feel like as offense we have a chance to jump into a game. So, yeah, I think on the last road trip, I gave the entire bullpen, that was my pick on the post-game wrap, I think 2 or 3 times. I think, I'm not Irish, I think 2 or 3 times I picked the bullpen. So great point by the 650. The bullpen's been nails. Today is whatever. Today's one that's an easy one. You win 10, you shower that thing off in 3 minutes, you go kiss your wife and your kids, and you go out to a nice dinner tonight, and that's an easy one. Tonight's an easy one. Yeah, that didn't even count. Just who cares about today? Today, I should say, is the easy one. I think we all should agree we should start looking for another starting pitcher. Wood got completely rocked today. Penn can't hold up this summer. We could look for a starting pitcher, but the price for a starting pitcher is going to be astronomical, and I ain't giving up Luis Matos or Casey Schmidt or anybody else for a starting pitcher that's just okay. Everybody's looking for a starting pitcher at the trade deadline. However many teams are in it, in that wild card thing, just look at the standings and teams in the wild card. They all need pitching. I think the Giants have what they have. I don't think they're going to get a pitcher. I think the bullpen thing's been working so nicely for them. And it's not like wearing arms out in the bullpen. You're getting a guy to start, a bulk guy, and then a guy to finish. It's not like, I know there was some times when they had 6 or 7 guys, but for the most part, I feel like I'm kind of coming around to this opener thing, which I remember last year when I first got here, it's like, Dodgers? It's a Dodgers series and we're starting a freaking opener? Like, what are we doing, an opener against the Dodgers? This is supposed to be Lincecum or Kane or Bumgarner, and we're starting a reliever, Brebbia. Like, what is this? What are you talking about? This analytics crap. And now I'm like, hey, this kind of works. This is working. I kind of like this stuff. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. 480 chiming in. FP, I'm excited. I can finally watch the Giants on TV in Phoenix this weekend, sweep the D-backs. Susan in Scottsdale. All right, it's where it all began this year. Susan's awesome. She's a big listener, and we thank her for listening every night. She sent me cupcakes. Remember when I was doing the shows in the booth at Scottsdale Stadium in spring training? Whew. Remember when I was doing the shows in the booth in St. Louis till 12:30 at night, and there was a day game the next day? Remember those days? Oh, that was just last week. Let's go to Andrew, all the way from Tennessee. Andrew, you're on KNBR. What is going on, my man?
FP, how you doing?
Wonderful. I wish I had your voice, first of all, but how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I actually was just checking. Are you going to be in Toronto this next coming up series?
I can't get within 50 miles of Canada. They have outlawed me from. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not going at all. That's a good one though. That's a good trip. Toronto and New York, two amazing cities. So good for.
Actually, I'm going up to see my mom in upstate New York, and I get to catch the game Wednesday. So I was hoping that I get to catch you up there. But if not, then I'll be up there and I'll be rooting my Giants colors on the first base side. So you'll see me. But yeah, talking about the Giants, it's I didn't get to watch the game at all today. I was at work all day, and for riding the 10-game series, the comebacks, and again we had the full roster. We had everything going, and slowly we're losing pieces again, and that's again kind of getting worried. But we ride the wave, and we keep seeing what's going. And again, the bullpen where we have guys that can go, bullpen guys that can go 4 or 5 innings, rookie guys and coming up, and it's like, okay, well, let's keep watching what's going. But I just want to see what your take was. I was hoping that you were going to be in Toronto. So,
well, have you been to Toronto first of all, Andrew?
Never.
Oh,
I've never actually been into. I've been to Canada once, but I've never been to Toronto.
Rogers Center, whatever they call it now, Sky Dome, great place to watch a ball game, especially when the roof is open. Wonderful people that love to party. Everybody's nice up there. You're going to have a great time. Blue Jays fans are awesome. And they'll probably see your Giants jersey and be like, good luck, eh? And then you go have a beer with them. They love to do shots, too, by the way. If you, make a friend at the bar, it's not like, can I buy you a beer? It's like, hey, let's do a shot. And they do it, within 5 minutes of meeting you. You'll have a great time there. You bring up a good point about the injuries. The Giants can only sustain so many more injuries. But the good news is it looks like Lamont Wade Jr. is going to be back for the weekend. Mike Yastrzemski's MRI came out clean. He doesn't even have a grade 1 strain on his hamstring. And his quote today, the smarter people or whatever he said, got me out of the game. So Yaz, to me, I know Lamont Wade Jr. is an all-star. At least I feel he is. Those two guys make this team go. Yaz's swing is locked in. He's getting clutch hits. He's barreling up baseballs left and right. His swing is way more flat this year than it was last year. It was really uphill last year. He's flattened out his swing. He's making consistent contact on the barrel, whether it's to left, center, or right. He's gotten clutch hits. And Lamont Wade Jr., I talked to him on the bench for about 15 minutes the other day, and we were both talking about having our legs underneath us. Where I had a season where I had bad knees and you just drift. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, you got your base under you, dude. So we talked about hitting, and he is the nicest guy in the world. If you want to be a fan of anybody on the Giants and you pick one guy out, you can't go wrong with Lamont Wade Jr. He's just a really polite kid, a wonderful dude, and I'm a big fan. So those two guys make this team go, especially Lamont at the top of the order and Yaz with knocking guys in. Sounds like they're going to be back. Sounds like they dodged that bullet. But you're right. You can't just keep going to the minor leagues. There's, the cupboard's going to be bare soon enough. You're going to reach for a can of whatever, and it's not going to be there anymore. So, yeah. They need to get healthy, and they are, and hopefully right in time for this series.
And I called you about a month ago and was saying again where get Wade, get Lamont, get Duvall, sign these guys or make them sure that they understand what their roles is. And I think at this point they understand what their roles is. And with Kapler doing what he's doing, and with the Giants are doing, hey. We understand what the role is now. We just have to keep doing it, and we're going to ride that wave. And then when, like you said, when people get hurt, we fill them in. But how far can we go with that? So we'll see how it goes the rest of the year, and I appreciate your call. So thank you.
I appreciate your call, Andrew. Thanks, man, and go Tennessee, whatever that means. I appreciate you calling tonight. Let me see here. I'm just scrolling through my phone. Carlos Correa, Baseball Reference. He is hitting .215 right now with 9 home runs. So not great. I was never for that sign, by the way. I was a team ball player on the year and got excited when they signed him, but I was like, I wanted Dansby Swanson all offseason. But you look at that Carlos Rodon just threw his first rehab assignment for the Yankees yesterday. He has yet to pitch an inning for the New York Yankees. We got so many calls this offseason about, well, why didn't they sign him back? The whole Carlos Correa thing, when I was just like, I don't care. I mean, honestly, I'm on the air saying, yeah, it's a great sign, but when they didn't sign him, I wasn't as distraught as most Giants fans because I was never like a big Carlos Correa fan. I heard they were on him all off season, maybe the analytics and all this, and he's a leader in the clubhouse, all that. But I wasn't excited about that. The Aaron Judge thing, I think we all kind of got excited about but he's been dinged up too. He's been hurt a lot this year. So we said at the time, baseball's funny, and you might look back at this and not be as pissed off. These might be blessings in disguise. Turns out, as we speak right now, they are. The Giants are flirting with first place. They can't catch the Diamondbacks this weekend, but they can damn sure make things a lot more interesting with a 2 out of 3. I'm trying to get to my standings right now on my MLB app, which always takes way too long. What the hell? Okay, yeah, they're 3.5 games back. The Dodgers are 4 back. The Diamondbacks are 46-30. Giants are 42-33. So big weekend series coming up. It's going to be fun to check out. I want to read you this story real quick as we transition. Did you see this? There's a group promoting plant-based eating that wants a new name for the Macon, Georgia baseball team. The Macon, Georgia baseball team, I think it's a college summer team, is called the Macon Bacon, which is clever. It's funny. But a doctors group that promotes plant-based eating and animal rights is making a fuss over the Macon Bacon baseball team. Dude, who doesn't love bacon? Like, I know this story's probably not going to go over well in this region because there's probably a lot of plant-based people listening to this show. There's probably a lot of vegans listening to the show. Yes, with God bless you. Yes. There's probably a lot of gluten-free listeners on KNBR. Maybe that's who we need to target for ratings. Oh, FP here for gluten-free everything and vegan everything. Well, whatever floats your boat. I love everybody, all walks of life, all foods. Like whatever your food group is. My food group is alcohol and then French fries late at night. Those are my 2 food groups that I really, really like. And then I punish myself, and I ran the Quake Tower stairs twice to punish myself. So back to the story, ADDFP. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. What the hell is that? The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine? So what do? You go to the Battery, say, after the show, and you're at the bar in the Battery. You know, the members-only social club here that's fancy in the city. So what do? I'm a member of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Well, what's the opposite of that? The Physicians Committee for Irresponsible Medicine? That would probably be like Balco or something. It sent a letter urging the Georgia Summer Collegiate team to change its name. The group has also sponsored a billboard imploring Macon fans to keep bacon off your plate. Have you ever, Rod Brooks used to do this all the time back in the day, and he had a great point. If you have a fancy party and you have all these appetizers out at your party, like there's a shrimp cocktail over there and a this and a that and nachos and maybe some, whatever. It's a party with appetizers. If you have a plate of bacon and just a plate of bacon, that is going first every single time of the party. It's the best hangover food there is. It's the best breakfast meat. I'm a turkey bacon guy, I will confess. But every once in a while, when I go to Mama Santangelo's house, she has the big greasy bacon out there. I'll crush. I'm talking like 5 or 6 pieces. I like the thick cut bacon too. My mouth is watering talking about this. Macon Bacon's glorification of bacon, a processed meat that raises the risk of cancer and other diseases, sends the wrong message to fans. Anna Herbie, the group's nutrition education program manager, wrote the team's president. The Macon Bacon had its first season with the Coastal Plains League in 2018 after their name was chosen by a vote of fans. The team's mascot, Kevin. Their team's mascot is Kevin. Shouldn't it just be like just a pig, like Charlotte? Like it's got to be a pig, right? Then Porky, Kermit. What was Kermit? Yeah, Miss Piggy. Yeah, Miss Piggy's got to be the mascot. Where was I? The mascot, yeah. Footloose actor Kevin Bacon, and it's not just the name. So I don't know. Come on. Are we getting that sensitive where we can't even have a team named Bacon anymore in baseball anywhere? And who doesn't love bacon? 808 KNBR, if you don't like bacon, right now call the show. I guarantee you nobody's calling. I hate bacon, FP. It's the worst. Said nobody ever.
Lee Hammer says no.
Bacon is the best. All right. We got another open segment here before the top of the hour. So coming up next, your calls. Open calls, Giants. Warriors trade with the State Farm guy. Jordan Poole for the State Farm guy. And I think they threw in Flo from Progressive. It was Chris Paul, Cliff Paul, and Flo for Jordan Poole, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll talk some trade, we'll talk some Giants, we'll talk some bacon next on the Sports Leader.
KNBR app. Now, KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo continues live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix progressive jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, everybody, listen to FP Santangelo on KNBR, the sports leader.
If you missed it, you missed a great show tonight. If you're missing this show every night, it's a great show. And if you're not listening to KNBR in general, you're missing out. Whether it's the morning show with Murph and Mac, Papa and Lund in the afternoon, Tolbert and Copes from 2 to 6 p.m., then my dumb ass comes on at 6 p.m. every night. But we have fun on the show. We have fun with you guys, the listeners. You guys are amazing. That was Rosenbag. He's a regular caller, and I made him yell that in a Safeway earlier. He said he was shopping. We checked what was in his cart. He told us, and then I told him to scream that really loud in the middle of Safeway, and he did it. So you guys are great listeners. You listen to anything. It's like I'm in the control center, and I'm my marionettes, and I'm working you guys. But it's been awesome. Great calls tonight. A lot of great calls about the Warriors. We started talking all dubs in the trade between, the Wizards and the Warriors. It was Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, if you didn't remember. If you don't remember, you didn't hear. The Warriors gave up on Poole, it seems. The punch, where did that lead? Was that part of it? Are you happy about the trade? I didn't get a lot of blowback on the trade tonight. A couple people didn't like it, but I thought my take was going to be way in the minority, that I like this trade. I was kind of over the Jordan Poole era. I know he's young. There's an upside there. I understand that. But the championship year, Jordan Poole, and this year were two different players, and I don't know why. We can theorize. We can speculate. I have no idea. But it's just a different player this year. And like I said, I keep going back to, it's not the punch I keep going back to. It's Steph having to give a speech before Game 7. Either you're in, you're in the way. It's one of my favorite sayings. You're either in or you're in the way. You're either in or you're in the way. Slow down, FP. So, yeah, one of my favorite sayings of all times. It seems like there were some guys that were in the way, and you had to talk them into being all in for a Game 7? Are you serious? So that part really resonated with me more than the punch itself, and I think the punch was damaging. I said at the time, no championship season has ever started with one teammate punching another teammate. Maybe during the season when you're getting on each other, but not like when you get to camp, everybody's happy to be there. It's like the first day of school. You usually don't see fights on the first day of school, do you? It's kind of weird. everybody you even like your teacher on the first day of school, for crying out loud. Yeah, I love my new teacher. She's great. He's great. And then like within a month, you're like, she sucks. He sucks. But like first week of school, you guys are all locked in. So we talked about that for a while. I mentioned that I thought it was interesting that all the headlines nationally said Chris Paul traded to the Warriors. There was really no mention of Jordan Poole going to the Wizards. So that might give you an idea of how big that trade was on a national basis, that we're getting Chris Paul. I know maybe Steph doesn't like him and all that stuff. That's heat of battle stuff, man. Those guys are get along just fine. So we transitioned from that, if you missed it, to Blake Sable. Giants catcher came on around 6:45. We talked to him. We'll probably replay that interview in the 9 o'clock hour if you missed it, so stay tuned for that. Russ Stanley, Senior Vice President of Tickets and Sales for the Giants, came on at 7 and told us what was going on at the ballpark this weekend. A lot of good stuff. You get the Hawaiian shirt on Saturday, Kipe and Kruk mug on Sunday, and you get a battle for first place is the only promotion you really need to know. So be at the ballpark. It's been the cool place to be. It always is. But this homestand, man, the crowds have been rocking. If you missed it, the attendance for the 4-game series was 140,000 if we're going to round up like Russ said. For the 4 games. There was 38,638 today. So that's the best 4-game series attendance since June of 2018. So go back 5 years. So Giants fans are coming out in droves all of a sudden. You got to love these kids. You got to love what's going on with the team, even though today they lost. Who cares? Kerry Keating came on around the 7 o'clock hour. He is the former Santa Clara basketball coach. He was talking about the trade and what was going on, and we speculated what might be going on behind the scenes. A great interview. And then Carlos Ramirez just joined us. He does a nice job covering the Giants, the Warriors, the Niners, and everything else for NBC Sports Bay Area. So it's been a packed show tonight. Really fun show tonight. The callers have been great. The text lines have been lighting up. You guys have been participating. You guys always get an A for participation on the night show. Can't thank you guys enough. Let's go to Stroke in Oakland. Stroke, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP, how you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
Dude, you sound great on the games. You're awesome, man. You're doing wonderful, man.
Thank you.
I just want to tell you that before we go. So let's get to Jordan Poole, because I've been listening to you for a couple of years, and I think we feel the same way about him. And I'm glad he's gone, but I don't get the Chris Paul thing. I don't understand that. I'm trying to put the lineup together. Is someone else going to go? Is he coming off the bench? I think we needed to get bigger and get our bench together. And I'm glad Jordan Poole's gone. He was a buzz killer for me, man. And,
it's weird that
he deserves to be on the worst team in basketball and average 25 points a game. He's one of those guys. He's Gilbert Arenas. He's one of those dudes. But I don't see how Chris Paul makes us better. I don't know. I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that part of it. So I'm torn between the trade. I want to know your thoughts.
Well, Stroke, here's the thing, and I said it earlier if you missed it, and I wouldn't expect you to be listening to the whole show, but like maybe you're like that, and that's great. We love people that listen to the whole show. It trades you don't know. You can't judge a trade the day of the trade. You can't judge a trade a month from the trade. Sometimes trades they're like wine. They take time to develop and open up. So what I always say with a trade is let's see. Like everyone's like, this is a great trade for the Giants. This is a great trade for the Niners. I think the McCaffrey trade is one that we could all agree on, that we can judge that one real time. Like, ooh, that was cool. We went nuts when that happened and turned out we were right. But I would say 90% of trades, you have to just kind of let evolve. And we'll see like maybe next May or June how this whole trade's kind of panned out. But I would say when you develop an environment that's conducive to togetherness, checking your ego at the door, a synergistic approach where we don't care who gets the credit, and then all of a sudden somebody rocks that boat and cares who gets the credit and cares how many minutes they get and cares how many shots they get, when that's not really what you're about as a championship organization. I'm not saying that's the case. It's just speculation, but it's time to move on from people that just don't vibe with your clubhouse chemistry or don't vibe with the way you go about it or don't vibe with your theories on how we win here. And maybe he was that guy because, like I said, if you had to give a speech before Game 7, that's something, usually that speech is like, guys, I love you. We've come a long way. Let's give it everything we have today, if you even give a speech before Game 7. But the fact that we got word that it was kind of like a you're either in or you're not speech, man, there was something definitely going on there behind the scenes that we don't all know everything about.
Yeah.
All right, Stroke.
Anyhow, Hey, keep up the good work, brother. Doing awesome on the air.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Always nice to hear kind words about that because it's scary. It's scary when they're like, and here with the third inning. I'm like, what's the score again? The hard part is I've learned is every major league scoreboard goes off as soon as the last out is made in the inning. So you're going to break, and here from St. Louis, the score is, and you got to look at your computer real quick if you just don't have it memorized, like 2-0, 3-2. But sometimes it's like it's a run score, the score changes, and you got to figure things out, and that's when it gets tricky. So I always have my computer up. There's this MLB research app that I'm on. So yeah, it's more like the dotting the I's and crossing the T's part. The action part's becoming fun, even though I have a long way to go. But thanks for the words. I'm super, super blessed and very grateful for the opportunity. Really, really cool stuff. All right, coming up next, we have Blake Sable, Giants catcher. He caught up with us earlier in the show. So on the other side of the break, if you missed it earlier, Blake Sable on the Sports Leader.